Chapter 49:33. Helen and the others were surrounded, and they were currently being besieged. Jeffrey and the others stood outside to watch the show. 5 golden bells hung in the air, releasing bright light. "Tell me, where is Zichin?" A high-level trial cultivator slammed his palm down. Alva coughed up blood and flew backward, but he was soon forced back by another force. "I don't know." Alva wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said coldly, "Humph, if you don't want to talk, then I'll torture you until you talk." The opponent's figure flickered and quickly approached Alva. "Stop!" Helen rushed forward, but she was blocked by another high-level cultivator. She could only watch as Alva was kicked to the ground. The high-level cultivator descended from the sky and stepped on Alva's head. "Still not talking?" "I don't know," Alva growled. "You're tough, but unfortunately, no one cares about your life or death." Gao Jing looked disdainful. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. "Since you're courting death, then don't blame me for being impolite." He lifted his foot and kicked Alva's head. Alva's head would definitely explode, and he would die without a doubt. Jeffrey and the others were watching the show from the outside. As long as they could force Zichin out, the deaths of a few people in Helen's team were nothing. At this moment, the high-level cultivator suddenly felt a dangerous aura and immediately retreated. A golden sword light flew from a distance and entered Gao Jing's mind like a lightning bolt. He screamed and quickly retreated. 10 feet away, Gao Jing was bleeding from his 7 orifices. He was horrified. That was a soul attack. It was very terrifying. "It's you." He saw the owner of the golden sword light. "Aren't you looking for me?" Zichin walked over from a distance. He looked at the high-level cultivator with a cold gaze. "You've got guts. You really came." Gao Jing was stunned at first. Then he laughed sinisterly. Whoosh! 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 When the others saw Zichin coming, they immediately scattered and surrounded him. Zichin ignored the encirclement. He had gained a lot this time and was not afraid of anyone now. At the very least, there was no one present who could do anything to him. He walked all the way to the center of the encirclement and met up with Helen's team. Looking at the wounded people, Zichin asked, "How are you?" They shook their heads, indicating that they were fine. Light flashed in Zichin's hand and several portions of ageless power appeared. "You guys refine them first. Leave this to me." Every portion of immortal energy, if exchanged for the golden granules from before, would amount to about 50 of them. Everyone was stunned. They never thought that Zichin would take out his immortal energy. Everyone's eyes lit up. This was just Zichin casually taking it out. They believed that he had even more immortal power on him. It was as if a treasure trove had appeared in front of them. There was no reason for them to miss it. "Take it and refine it first." Zichin handed over the immortal power, and each of them took a portion. Turning around, Zichin looked at the people around him. He pointed at the high realm trial expert who wanted to kill Alva and said to the crowd, "Except for him, the rest of you will have a chance to live if you leave now." Everyone's expression changed. Zichin's words were very calm, but it was this calmness that made people feel uneasy. For a moment, many people's expressions began to change. "Who are you trying to scare? There are so many people here. Each of them can kill you with a single slash." A sneer sounded. It was the young man from before. He obviously did not want to see the scene of everyone being scared away. "That's right. Who do you think you are? You're just an initial realm trial expert. You think you can fight a group of people?" The high realm cultivator also sneered. "You must have your own judgment to be able to come this far. It's up to you to leave." As soon as his voice fell, Zichin rushed forward. After using the Thunder escape, he quickly approached the high realm cultivator and punched out. "You're courting death." The high realm cultivator roared and slapped forward with his palm. A terrifying aura surged. "I'm a high realm cultivator. Why would I be afraid of you? An initial realm cultivator. Boom! When the fist and palm collided, a powerful shock wave shook the area. Gao Jing took advantage of the momentum to retreat. As he retreated, a hint of ridicule appeared in his eyes. Where Helen and the others were standing, more than a dozen people rushed over, all of them aiming for the immortal power. Zi Chen's words did not make them retreat. Gao Jing laughed. Kid, you think you're magnanimous? In fact, you're harming them. Such a good thing is not something they can have. At this moment, Zi Chen pointed at his glabella. In an instant, a golden light bloomed in his knowledge sea. Dozens of golden sword lights rushed toward the crowd. At such a close distance, no one could block the golden sword lights. During this time, several people screamed and retreated. 3 people directly fell to the ground and died. The rest were not in a good condition, and there was shock in their eyes. Obviously, they did not expect Zi Chen's soul to be so powerful. In the case of more than a dozen attacks, it still had such a terrifying lethality. Those who retreated hesitated, but they did not retreat immediately. Buzz! In Zi Chen's knowledge, see, his soul surged, and the golden sword lights appeared again. This time, there were fewer of them, and the soul power was more condensed. Puff! 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 The soul sword lights entered the knowledge sea. During this time, another 5 people fell to the ground and died. The others were horrified. Zi Chen obviously wanted to kill them all, and they retreated for a while. It's too late. Zi Chen's eyes were cold. He used the soul attack for the 3rd time. This time, the number of sword lights was reduced by half, and the power was stronger. In the end, except for 3 high realms who were still alive, the others were all dead. Jeffrey and the other 4 watched the show outside and were not in a hurry to make a move. Anyway, the Golden Bell had sealed this place. It would be much easier to kill them after Zi Chen's soul was exhausted. The 3 high realms were horrified. After suffering 3 soul attacks from Zi Chen, although they were still alive, their souls were severely injured. Looking at Zi Chen, he seemed to be fine. He was only at the initial realm. How could he have such a powerful soul? We choose to retreat. The 3 looked at the fallen corpses on the ground and did not dare to think of snatching anything from here. They only wanted to live. Sorry, it's too late. Zi Chen stepped forward, his body shining with golden light. Zi Chen, don't force us. If you force us, we'll fight to the death. One of the high realms shouted. I gave you a chance before, but you gave it up. You only have 1 chance with me. Zi Chen's eyes flashed with killing intent, and the immortal punch he comprehended was displayed. It was as if a golden sun appeared in front of him. It was dazzling, and a terrifying aura surged. An indomitable force firmly locked onto one of the high realms. The high realms were shocked. They mobilized their energy and resisted with all their might. With a loud bang, the high realms flew backward, and the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Die. Zi Chen approached, and the flowing blade in his hand swept across the high realm's neck. When the other 2 saw this, they fled frantically. They no longer had the intention to fight. Zi Chen glanced at one of them, and a sword light flew forward, instantly piercing through the high realm's mind. It was the path sword. In an instant, the path sword flashed again, and the last high realm fell. In the distance, the existence who had threatened to kill Alva trembled when he saw such a terrifying Zi Chen. It's your turn. Chapter 4934. Seeing that Zi Chen was going to kill him, the high-level trial cultivator's eyes were filled with fear. He wanted to ask for help, but unfortunately the person who could save him didn't intend to do so yet. Poof! The path sword pierced through his forehead, obliterating his soul. During this time, the defensive light around the high-level cultivator's body lit up, but it couldn't stop Zi Chen's attack. The last high-level trial cultivator fell, and corpses were scattered all around. The others had already retreated far away in shock. Slaughter was the best deterrent. These people who hadn't seen Zichen kill people before were all stunned. Alva and the others were also shocked. They didn't expect Zichen to become so powerful. He was only at the initial stage of the trial, but he could be said to be invincible in the trial realm. Everyone retreated, and naturally, someone else stepped forward. The holders of the 5 great golden bells had already sealed off this place, waiting for the final battle. Zichen didn't run away this time. He looked back at the people in his team. They nodded at Zichen and retreated. In this situation, Jeffrey and the others didn't care about Helen's team. After all, they didn't have any gains. As long as they killed Zichen, they would reap a great harvest this time. They allowed these people to retreat, even out of the sealed space. Zichen glanced at the 5 people and said, "You tempted them to come here and die. Now it's finally your turn." When the others heard this, their expressions changed. Could it be that these people were killed by Zichen because of these 5 people's secret instigation? Among the 5 people, 4 high-level cultivators, and 1 was even at the Heaven's Choice realm. However, Zichen's expression was very calm. Was this confidence or arrogance? "Kid, you're too proud. You killed so many people just now. You must have consumed a lot of soul power, right?" The young man looked at Zichen and sneered. "Putting on airs in front of us is too childish." "Is that so?" Zichen smiled and said. Then he only said 2 words and his figure disappeared. "Be careful." Jeffrey reminded Gino, who was opposite him. He had always been on guard against Zichen. The latter was really too cunning. Gino also sensed where the threat was. Light swirled around him as he formed a seal with both hands, and the silhouette of a beast appeared before him. Zichen suddenly appeared in front of him and smashed his fist down heavily. With a loud boom, the beast shadow protection in front of Gino shattered, and his body retreated backward. Clang! At the same time, the golden bell flew above his head and knocked the Taoist sword back. Not long ago, he was almost killed by Zichen, so he had always been on guard. Die. Jeffrey's palm landed, and the palm print he controlled covered the sky, releasing a terrifying might. The young man and the other 2 also joined forces to attack Zichen. Sword light and saber light flashed, distorting space. At that moment, not only had the 5 great golden bells sealed off heaven and earth, they had also arrived before the 5 people to protect them. Without the golden bells, no one, including Jeffrey, dared to fight Zichen. That Taoist sword was extremely sharp and strange, so they had to be on guard. Boundless golden light flashed as Zichen struck out with a powerful punch. The palm print in the sky shattered, turning into rolling energy that dispersed. Not everyone had seen Zichen in action before. Seeing that the Heaven's Choice realm Jeffrey's attack was blown apart by Zichen's punch, everyone's heart skipped a beat. This power was too strong. One had to know that there was a huge gap between the 2 of them. In the past, if someone of this level stood in front of them, they would have been killed with a single slap. Zichen used the thunder technique escape, wandering among the attacks, occasionally punching out. His fists were golden, fueled by immortal power. Coupled with the power of his fists, they were extremely terrifying. The Taoist sword also floated above his head, not for defense but for attack. Everyone was shocked because Zichen had been actively attacking while being surrounded by 5 people, instead of passively defending like they had imagined. Boom! His fists were extremely ferocious, carrying an aura of invincibility. No one dared to face it head-on, not even Jeffrey. The young man took out an extraordinary ancient lamp, but it was completely extinguished by Zichen's 2 punches. Looking at the other party's pained expression, it was likely that he had suffered heavy injuries. 5 great golden bells working together! Jeffrey felt very aggrieved that he couldn't suppress a mere initial level of the trial. He couldn't care about anything else now. If Zichen didn't die today, there would be endless trouble coming for them in the future. Gino and the others had been waiting for this sentence for a long time. In an instant, the 5 great golden bells were completely activated, revealing the power of the 5 elements. They combined together and turned into a 5 elements dragon. Roar! The 5 elements dragon let out a deafening roar. Even though they were isolated from the sealed space, the people outside could still feel this vibration, and their expressions changed in shock. One great golden bell was already very terrifying, able to move unobstructed no matter where it went. It was the nemesis of all divine patterns. Who would have thought that the 5 great golden bells could combine together, and their power would naturally increase infinitely? At this moment, no one was optimistic about Zichen's chances. The dragon's roar shook the sky, its might astonishing, and its aura completely suppressed Zichen. Alva and the others were anxious. No matter how they looked at it, Zichen wouldn't be able to block it this time. The Taoist sword above Zichen's head trembled, releasing a dazzling brilliance. At the same time, the immortal power around him was also madly activated. Golden light flashed, and like a sun, it crashed toward the dragon. Boom! The whole space shook violently as if it was about to shatter. The dragon collapsed with a loud bang, and its energy scattered in all directions. The light around Zichen instantly retracted, and his figure flew backward. The Taoist sword that had always been invincible now also lost its edge and fell to the side. The victor was revealed. There was an uproar all around. No one would have thought that after the 5 great golden bells combined, it would actually be so terrifying. Looking at Zichen again, his hair was disheveled, and blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. He was in a sorry state. Die. The 5 of them were very satisfied with the current result. After looking at each other, they took a step forward. The light on the golden bell circulated again, and the manifested dragon opened its mouth to devour Zichen. It was as if a world of devouring had opened, and it made people see an endless abyss. The dim golden light around Zichen shone again, and the power of the immortal golden body was pushed to the limit by him. The two met, and a roar sounded again. Puff! In mid-air, blood splattered. Zichen was injured, and he flew backward and fell to the ground. The Taoist sword fell to the side, its luster dim. What should we do? Alva was anxious after seeing this scene. It was obvious that Zichen was no match for them. If this continued, he would undoubtedly die. Helen shook her head regretfully. This space has been sealed by the golden bell, and no one can break it. Now, Zichen can only save himself. They wanted to help, but unfortunately, there was nothing they could do. Outsiders couldn't interfere in a battle of this level at all, because it was no longer a battle of one's own realm, but a battle of treasures. In this battle, the golden bell or the Taoist sword, any one of them could kill everyone. Die. The 5 of them urged the dragon for the 3rd time, and this time it was to kill Zichen. Chapter 49:35. With the 5 golden bells working together, Zichen instantly fell into a disadvantageous position. His life was in danger now. The giant dragon manifested by the golden bells was very terrifying. It carried the killing intent of the 5 as it charged toward Zichen. At this moment, the dragon's roar shook the sky. The sealed space was violently distorted and could collapse at any time. Zichen! Alva and the rest were alarmed. They shouted loudly, very worried. The others watched the battle in the sky with different expressions. A ray of light appeared in the distance. It was the black dragon. He looked at the scene in front of him and frowned slightly. There seemed to be displeasure on his face. Just as he was hesitating whether to make a move, a bright brilliance suddenly appeared in front of him. The brilliance enveloped the giant dragon. The giant dragon, which was not corporeal to begin with, seemed to vaguely let out a terrified roar. The brilliance fell, and the giant dragon dissipated. The 5 golden bells buzzed in the air, stirring up waves of ripples. Everyone was shocked as they looked forward. Chen stood there, his body intact. He held a sparkling jade rod in his hand. It looked a little like the bone of some kind of animal. It was this thing that broke the combined attack of the 5 golden bells. Everyone was stunned and somewhat in disbelief. "Kid, you have quite a lot of good stuff on you." When Jeffrey saw this scene, his expression changed. He was very surprised. He was clearly about to die, but he actually caused trouble again. That jade rod, which did not have a powerful aura, actually broke their combined attack. It must be a coincidence. Gino said in a deep voice, "He's already very weak now. He'll definitely die if another attack comes." The young man glanced at Jeffrey. The latter nodded and said, "The space is still in a sealed state. He can't run. Moreover, his aura is indeed much weaker than before. He should be an arrow at the end of its flight." The meaning was clear. The 5 of them exerted their strength together. The golden bells in the air trembled, and once again displayed a powerful attack. Looking at the giant dragon that appeared again, Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. Boundless killing intent surged out. His figure flashed, and he took the initiative to attack. He raised the bone rod in his hand high. The power in his body surged wildly and then accelerated. The bone rod seemed to have become a bottomless pit, devouring Chen's power. The surface of the bone stick released a brilliant light, but no powerful aura appeared. Its strength was completely restrained. He raised his hand and brought the stick down. A brilliant light fell on the dragon's body, and the bone staff smashed down. With a boom, the dragon exploded. Everyone saw it clearly, and their hearts were incomparably shocked. The bone rod clearly wasn't strong. So how could it have such power? Chen staggered in the air. He had consumed a lot of energy. The bone staff had given him quite a pleasant surprise, but its energy consumption was a bit too high. Chen wasn't too surprised by the fact that those who didn't restrain their auras had all turned into dust and disappeared. Such a wondrous item is rare indeed. I reckon that only the immortal spell world can nurture such an item. The black dragon looked ahead and muttered, "Looks like the immortal spell world is most likely no more. Continue attacking. He can't hold on any longer." Seeing the giant dragon crumble again, Jeffrey's eyes lit up. The bone staff was clearly a rare, supreme treasure. It might even be of a higher grade than the 5 golden bells and the path sword. He had to get it. Everyone else saw Chen's condition. At this moment, they all nodded and continued to activate the golden bells. Fortunately, the 5 of them worked together to make the golden bells complete. Otherwise, they would have been crushed if they encountered Chen alone. In fact, they had no way out now. If they didn't kill Chen today and leave this place, they would definitely be the ones to die. The giant dragon roared, becoming more and more like a real existence. This proved that the 5 of them had become more coordinated, and they were more skilled at activating the golden bells. The golden bells sealed time and space, so Chen couldn't escape. He could only face it head-on. Therefore, his 3rd attack fell, and the giant dragon exploded again. Chen's face was pale. He had consumed even more energy. This time, even standing in the air became difficult. Everyone in the crowd stared. The bone staff in Chen's hand was comparable to the 5 golden bells. It was definitely a supreme treasure. Unfortunately, his realm was too low. Coupled with the fact that he had consumed a lot of energy in the previous battle, he couldn't hold on any longer. And such an amazing treasure was going to belong to these 5 people. Buzz! The golden bells continued to tremble. Because of the tacit cooperation, their attacks became more and more powerful. Chen, on the other hand, was gradually unable to hold on because of the intensification of his consumption. The 5 of them were laughing very proudly. At the same time, they began to calculate in their hearts how to snatch Chen's things. Originally, the most precious thing on Chen's body was the Taoist sword. Now, everyone changed their minds. As long as they snatched the bone staff, it was almost comparable to the 5 golden bells combined. After 2 consecutive attacks, Zichen could no longer stay in the air. His body fell. At this moment, not only was his face pale, but there was no trace of blood on his face. Even the power of his flesh and blood had become exhausted. The last attack. The 5 of them laughed. 5 rays of energy rushed out of the golden bells. This time they combined together and manifested into a real giant dragon. It swooped down on Zichen. Zichen looked at the approaching giant dragon. He was very unwilling. It was not that he was no match for it, but that his strength was exhausted. At this moment his heart suddenly jumped. With a thump sound, layers of ripples surged out from his body. A pure energy gushed out from his heart. The originally withered flesh and blood immediately became plentiful. At the same time, a surge of energy entered abdomen. With the replenishment of this energy, Zichen's energy, which had almost reached the critical point, finally changed. Buzz! A fluctuation spread out from abdomen. Then, a tyrannical aura was released from Zichen's body. The middle level of the trial he had actually broken through at this moment. Under the circulation of the powerful aura, Zichen smashed down with the bone staff in his hand. With a boom, the giant dragon collapsed. Zichen held the bone staff in his hand. His body was bathed in golden light. His skin emitted a sparkling light, giving off a sacred feeling. What? Jeffrey's expression suddenly changed. Zichen's aura was clearly stronger. Damn it, this guy broke through. The young man cursed in exasperation. It had not been easy for them to exhaust Zichen to such an extent. Who would have thought that this guy would be so careless and break through just like that? Cries of surprise rang out from all around. Everyone was shocked and in disbelief. With Zichen's breakthrough, the situation would definitely be reversed. Amazing! Too amazing! Alva waved his fists excitedly. He was very excited, and his previous worries were swept away. Look at him, and then look at you, Big Beard said with a smile. He was clearly in a good mood. Zichen has only been in Peace City for a short time. He first entered the initial level, and now he's in the middle level. But you're still in the initial level. So what? He's talented. Alva laughed. He clearly did not care. Everyone, your methods are quite brilliant. But after fighting for so long, it's time for me to make a move. Zichen held the bone staff tightly. His eyes were cold as he charged forward. The 5 people's expressions were solemn. They once again controlled the golden bell to manifest a giant dragon. The giant dragon roared as it appeared. Zichen's staff fell, and the giant dragon collapsed. It could not withstand a single blow. Chapter 49:36. Zichen's cultivation level had increased. Not only did his combat power increase, but his speed was also much faster than before. Seeing Zichen approaching in an instant, the young man was shocked. It was too late to control the golden bell to turn back, so he took out the ancient lamp from before. The ancient lamp lit up with a hazy and mysterious light, protecting him within. Buzz! Zichen smashed down with the bone staff in his hand, and the space above the young man began to distort. The ancient lamp in front of him released a mysterious light, blocking the bone staff. There was a loud bang. The light on the ancient lamp was immediately extinguished, and several cracks appeared on its surface. The young man's expression changed drastically, and he immediately retreated. At the same time, he controlled the ancient lamp to retreat. Zichen's figure flashed, and he approached again. The second attack fell. The young man had no choice but to use the ancient lamp to block the second attack. Boom! The cracks on the ancient lamp surface spread, and then it exploded. This extraordinary weapon could only block 2 attacks from the bone staff. Clang! The huge golden bell returned to the young man in time. He had no time to lament the ancient lamp, and he activated the golden bell. The bell rang in the distance, and golden ripples swept out. Above Zi-Chen's head, the Taoist sword slashed forward, and the golden ripples split into two. Zi-Chen now had sufficient strength and was extremely fierce. His combat power was even more astonishing. When the young man used the golden bell to protect himself and retreated in fear, Zi-Chen turned and rushed toward Jeffrey. He had to kill this guy. It was still a bone staff, and it didn't have much power when swung, but it made Jeffrey's heart beat faster. A light sword appeared in front of him, blocking in front of him. The bone staff fell, and the light sword shattered with a bang. Jeffrey retreated in horror, and the golden bell flew back to protect him. But now he wasn't sure if this small golden bell could stop Zi-Chen. After all, the young man's golden bell was bigger, and it was more important in battle. "Everyone, let's work together," Jeffrey shouted as he retreated. No one responded to him. The others ran very fast, and now they had escaped from the sealed space with the help of the golden bell. Previously, Zi-Chen had consumed a lot of energy, and it was still possible to kill him. But now that he had broken through to the middle realm, it was too difficult to kill him. At the very least, no one could block the power of the bone staff. When Jeffrey saw that the others had run away, he was so angry that his nose was almost crooked. These people obviously wanted him to take on Zi-Chen's attack. Gritting his teeth, he took out a heaven's chosen grade treasure. It was an irregular piece of jade that emitted a bright light. Its aura was terrifying as it whistled through the air towards Zi-Chen. "Damn it! Why didn't you use it earlier?" Outside the sealed space, the young man's expression turned ugly when he saw this. If Jeffrey had used it to attack from afar, perhaps Zi-Chen would have already died. Now that he was facing the powerful Zi-Chen, it was useless even if he used it. Zi-Chen's bone staff smashed down and accurately hit the jade stone, causing it to explode with a loud bang. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Just what level of treasure was that bone staff? It could even destroy a heaven's chosen soldier in one hit. Although Jeffrey was heartbroken at the loss of his treasure, he had fortunately escaped outside the sealed space and escaped Zi-Chen's pursuit. After coming out, the 5 of them looked at Zi-Chen in front of them. At this moment, the 5 golden bells were still outside, sealing off the space. This guy is really lucky. Not being able to kill Zi-Chen, the young man's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He didn't immediately run away. The other 3 didn't run away either. Instead, they watched from outside, as if they wanted to see if Zi-Chen could destroy this world. The tables had turned just like that, and it was beyond everyone's expectations. Inside the sealed space, Zi-Chen put away the bone staff and clenched his right hand into a fist. A dazzling golden light bloomed from his body. Zi-Chen looked like a war god in golden armor, and his aura had clearly changed. Is he trying to break through the space with his fist? Everyone was shocked again. Is this guy stupid? Seeing Zi-Chen's actions, Gino was also stunned. Logically speaking, he should have run away a long time ago. With his strength, he wasn't a match for Zi-Chen at all. However, he didn't. He stayed here like the others, and he wasn't worried at all that Zi-Chen would kill him after coming out. You overestimate yourself. Jeffrey also snorted coldly with disdain in his eyes. How could the space sealed by the 5 golden bells be destroyed with just a fist? At this moment, Zi-Chen punched out. Boundless golden light shone, and his powerful punch smashed heavily into the sealed space. Boom! The entire space was distorted, and the powerful energy turned into golden waves that rippled in all directions. The distorted space didn't shatter, but the power of Zi-Chen's punch still shocked everyone. Boom! One punch after another, and a deafening sound came from the space. Idiot! You're just a mere middle realm cultivator. Do you really think you're a heaven's chosen? The young man's expression was one of disdain. Zi-Chen's punch seemed very powerful, but it was impossible for it to break through the space. Unless he used the bone staff from before, it might be possible. He's practicing his fist technique. A voice came from the side, and Black Dragon appeared in front of everyone. He's using this space to hone his fist technique that he's still not familiar with. Honing his fist technique. Everyone was stunned, and then they looked at Zichin as if they were looking at a monster. This punch was so terrifying, but it was still considered an immature fist technique. Once this punch reached its peak, what kind of power would it have? Withdraw it. The seal has no meaning to him. Black Dragon spoke again, and the others immediately withdrew the seal. They didn't run away because they saw Black Dragon. As one of the city lord's subordinates, Black Dragon was very reasonable. It would have been fine if he didn't appear, but since he did, he naturally wouldn't let everyone fight to the death. The sealed space disappeared, and Zichin walked forward, clasped his hands toward Black Dragon, and called out, "Your Excellency!" "It seems you've gained quite a bit this time," said Black Dragon, cracking a rare joke. "You've gained quite a bit." "I did gain quite a bit, but I risked my life for it." Zichin looked at the 5 of them coldly. If it weren't for the fact that he had a few tricks up his sleeve, he would have long since been killed by them. If he had a chance to kill these guys, Zichin wouldn't hesitate. But Black Dragon's purpose in coming here was clear. Zichin had a very good impression of Black Dragon and wouldn't refuse to give him face. He didn't say anything else. "What?" said Black Dragon. "It sounds like you've been wronged. With His Excellency Black Dragon here, you still dare to kill us?" The young man looked at Zichin. "Do you really have the guts?" he said mockingly. Zichin looked at the young man, his eyes flashing with killing intent. "Jiang Jingzhe, shut the hell up." The smile on Black Dragon's face froze, and a look of anger appeared in his eyes. Clearly, Zichin wasn't going to pursue the matter, but this guy was still fanning the flames. "I'm telling the truth. Look at how unconvinced he is. It's almost as if he has the guts to attack us in front of you." Chapter 4937. Do you dare to touch me here? The young man stared at Zichin, his eyes gradually sharpening. "If you don't dare, then scram. Don't stand in front of me. You're an eyesore." The others all looked at Zichin with ridicule, their expressions filled with provocation. Zichin said nothing. He ignored them and looked at Black Dragon. This young man was still too inexperienced to play mind games with him. The other party only wanted to provoke him. Once he lost his mind, Black Dragon would have a reason to kill him. Zichin did not fear Black Dragon, but he did not think he could defeat him. Zichin was not stupid. Moreover, this scheme was not very clever, even childish. "Let's forget about today. Give me some face," Black Dragon said. Originally, he would not have lost so much face. It was Jiang Jingzhe who embarrassed him and put him on a pedestal, wanting him to oppose Zichin. He looked at Zichin and said, "If you really have some unresolvable grudges, can you settle them next time?" Zichin cupped his fists at Black Dragon and said, "Since Black Dragon has spoken, Zichin will naturally obey." "Good." Black Dragon nodded and smiled. "Since that's the case, I'll take my leave first." Saying this, Black Dragon left. Jiang Jingzhe's expression changed. He did not expect Black Dragon to leave just like that, not caring about his identity, and leaving him here. "Black Dragon!" he shouted in dissatisfaction. Black Dragon's figure had already disappeared, as if he did not hear. Previously, he dared to scheme against Black Dragon, and now he dared to call him by his name. Zichin did not try to guess Jiang Jingzhe's identity. He looked at him and asked, "What did you just say? I don't think I heard clearly. Can you repeat it?" Jiang Jingzhe's eyes were cold, but he did not dare to repeat himself. Although he was arrogant, he was not stupid. Black Dragon had said that they would settle their grudges next time. Now that the other party had left, this might be the next time. If Zichin killed him now, Black Dragon would not care. He had left with this intention. He did not expect Black Dragon to be so heartless, not caring about his identity and leaving him behind. Humph! He snorted coldly and turned to leave. As long as he did not infuriate Ziqin, then the matter would remain the same. Ziqin would have to abide by his agreement with the Black Dragon. As soon as Jiang Jingzhe left, the others also followed suit and left. This included the Heaven's chosen realm Jeffrey. Right now, whoever stayed behind would most likely die. The resources of this world had not been completely searched yet. Now that the owner of the 5 great golden bells had left, the others had lost a strong competitor. Naturally, they still had to continue searching. Ziqin also planned to leave. He had gained a lot from this trip, and if he continued to stay, he might run into some danger. Those fellows probably wouldn't know their place. Alva and the rest had also followed. They had come here with almost nothing to gain, and now they did not plan to stay. However, Ziqin quickly understood. Previously, he had given them a considerable amount of undying power. Once they decided to stay behind, whether or not they could find other resources was another matter. At the very least, they would have to deal with these people's attacks first. As such, the group of people returned the same way. There were still many opportunities here that had not been discovered. At the same time, once this world shattered, there would be many fragments. However, Ziqin did not have time to worry about that. Alva and the rest wanted it, but they did not dare to. After this incident, whether it was Boss Helen, Big Beard, or the others, they all sensed that they were weak. They urgently needed to go back and increase their strength. The resources Ziqin had given them should be enough to break through their current realms. Helen was the most anxious one because the whole team had been in danger several times already. If it wasn't for Ziqin, her team would have been annihilated. Peace City had been peaceful before, and there had been very little internal strife. Thus, those with lower realms could not see anything. However, as more and more rumors of the immortal spell realms collapse spread, everyone became anxious. Peace City gradually became less peaceful. Moreover, judging from the grade of the recently discovered shattered world, this rumor might be true. Everyone had lost the opportunity to ascend to the immortal spell realm. Naturally, it was possible that they would give up their original beliefs. Once they lost their beliefs, this trial realm would naturally become a lawless place. Along the way, Ziqin did not see Jeffrey and the others. This made him feel slightly regretful. After returning to the city, he gave up on the idea of immediately finding trouble with them. Instead, he returned to his residence first. Right now, he had more important things to do. After returning to his room, Ziqin used divine patterns to isolate his surroundings. Then he sat down cross-legged. This time he had indeed gained a lot. The spirit of massacre had absorbed a lot of killing intent and had become stronger. The bone staff he had obtained was also very powerful. It had completely exceeded Ziqin's expectations. The immortal spiritual eye was also extremely extraordinary. The immortal golden body was even rarer. It could increase his physical strength. This was also one of the main reasons he did not fear Jeffrey at the initial realm. Of course, the most mysterious thing was still the black stone that sealed the heart. He had originally thought it was a very ordinary stone. Unexpectedly, after he obtained it, it had continuously helped him obtain great opportunities. Everything seemed to be guided, and it seemed to be very smooth. It had to be said that this was a lucky stone. However, it seemed to be a little too lucky. The lucky stone was almost omnipotent. However, right now, no one could answer Ziqin. What exactly was this thing? Ziqin could only treat it as a lucky stone. If he had the chance, he wanted to ask the black and white elders. Perhaps they knew the origins of this stone. Currently, his greatest secret was the heart that was sealed by the black stone. It was in his sea of consciousness. Originally, Ziqin thought that the seal was strong enough and that there should not be any problems. However, the other party had transmitted a wave of energy. Although it had helped him at a critical moment, Ziqin could not help but be worried. If the power of the heart were to fully erupt one day, what awaited Zichen would definitely be instant destruction. He checked his body over and over again, but did not find the heart in his sea of consciousness. It was as if it was deliberately hidden. Then he activated his immortal power, and his physical body was reforged. However, he still did not find the sealed heart. This was not a small hidden danger. However, from the looks of it, there did not seem to be a good solution. For the next few days, Zichen cultivated. 2 days later, Alva came to tell him the good news. He said that he had broken through to the middle realm. Zichen treated him to a drink. This was indeed good news. In the next few days, good news kept coming. Big Beard and the others broke through one after another. The power that Zichen had given them last time was indeed of a high grade. The last to break through was Helen. She had finally returned to the Heaven's Choice realm. Her previous injuries had completely recovered. Everyone gathered at the small tavern and drank wine that was as smooth as water. Fortunately, they drank the mood and not the taste. Zichen finally breathed a sigh of relief. With a Heaven's Choice realm cultivator in the team, the deterrence had increased significantly, and it was time for him to do what he wanted to do. After leaving the tavern, Zichen did not return. He went directly to Gino's residence. Chapter 4938. Everyone else had gone back, but Zichen changed his direction. During the few days he had been back, other than cultivating, he had also specially investigated the residences of the people with the 5 great golden bells. They were all in Peace City and had not gone out in the past few days. The first person Zichen looked for was Gino. If the young man had not suddenly appeared last time, he would have gotten rid of him. Standing outside Gino's residence, Zichen released his own aura. Gino felt Zichen's aura, and his expression could not help but change. This guy had been quite well-behaved recently. Why had he suddenly come looking for him today? He walked out of the room, looked at Zichen, and said, "What are you doing here?" "I'll give you a choice," Zichen said calmly. "What choice?" Gino asked. "Death or life." Hearing this, Gino's expression could not help but change. "This is Peace City, a place with rules. You dare to kill people here?" Zichen did not answer Gino's question and said directly, "The life is given to me by the Golden Bell, and the death is that I kill you and take the Golden Bell." Gino said angrily, "Are you crazy? You actually want to steal my things?" Zichen said, "Choose one of the two. You have so many treasures on you. Why do you want to steal mine?" Gino's eyes stared straight at Zichen. "Do you believe that I will report you to the city Lord's residence right now? You disregard the rules of Peace City and will be killed." Zichen's calm expression finally changed. He looked at Gino and smiled slightly. "Looks like there's no room for discussion." "Of course there's no room for discussion." Gino gritted his teeth and said, "If you know what's good for you, leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." "If I leave now, you can only die of old age in this city from now on," Zichen said. "Are you sure you want me to leave?" "What do you mean? I'll wait for you outside the city." A cold glint flashed through Zichen's eyes. "You will die if you leave the city. You're threatening me. You think I'm afraid of you?" Gino's eyes became even colder. Zichen suddenly took a few steps back. Gino panicked and asked, "What are you doing?" "Let's go outside the city." Gino's face immediately turned ashen. There were indeed rules in Peace City that forbade fighting. He was sure that Zichen would not dare to do so either. However, there were no rules outside the city. Everything was done according to one's wishes. Gino did not dare to guarantee that he would never leave. Based on the current gap between him and Zichen, if the two of them were to meet head-on, it would only take a few rounds to determine the victor. However, the Golden Bell was a supreme treasure and was definitely the nemesis of all divine glyphs in the world. As the number of high-level broken worlds increased, He would have limitless gains in the future if he held onto the golden bell. Of course, he was unwilling to give it to Zichen just like that. The golden bell was very important, but then again, what about his life? If his life was gone, what was the use of the golden bell? Gino looked at Zichen, his heart filled with resentment. Not only do you have the Tao sword, but you also have the bone staff and other good things. Why do you insist on the golden bell? He was very angry, but he was also very scared. Looking at Zichen, who was still retreating, he gritted his teeth and said, "Here you go." Saying so, he decisively abandoned the golden bell and tossed it to Zichen. The golden bell landed firmly in Zichen's hands. During this time, it did not make a sound. Zichen released a burst of energy and refined it. "You're very sensible. Our grudges are written off." Zichen put away the golden bell and turned to leave. Gino stared at Zichen's back, his eyes filled with coldness. "Just you wait. After I break through." However, his expression quickly became dispirited again. So what if he broke through? After becoming a Heaven's Chosen, wouldn't he still be suppressed? Jeffrey was the most obvious example. Moreover, looking at the path Zichen took, it was not the path back. This proved that his goal was not only his golden bell. Next, Zichen went to find the other two people. At first, the two of them were naturally unwilling, but after Zichen's threat and took out the golden bell that Gino gave them, they no longer said anything. At this point, Zichen had obtained a total of 3 golden bells by the time he went to Jeffrey's residence. Previously, he was still thinking about what methods and schemes he should use to take back the golden bell. Now, it seemed that he had been overthinking things. Once he had enough combat power, there would be no need for any schemes at all. "Jeffrey!" Zichen came to Jeffrey's residence and shouted loudly, "How dare you? I haven't gone to find you yet, but you actually took the initiative to deliver yourself to me." Jeffrey instantly appeared in front of Zichen and looked at him coldly. "Give me the golden bell, and our grudges will be written off." Zichen directly stated his intentions. "What?" Jeffrey widened his eyes and looked at Zichen as if he was an idiot. "You killed my brother, and I haven't even settled the score with you yet. You actually want to write off the grudges with me? Was your brain squashed by the door when you went out? All right then, let's fight in the arena." Zichen's eyes were slightly cold. "There's no winner or loser, only life and death." "Kid, you've gone too far." Jeffrey said angrily, "My brother is dead, and I haven't even found trouble with you yet. Jeffrey, do you dare to fight me to the death?" Zichen's voice echoed in Hepping City. "I'm in the middle of the trial, and you're in the Heaven's Choice state. Do you dare to accept my life and death challenge?" Zichen's voice was very loud, and everyone in the city heard him clearly. Jeffrey's expression immediately changed. It was obvious that Zichen was serious. He was so angry that he wanted to curse. This guy was too shameless. His brother was dead, so he should be the one with the greatest hatred. But now, Zichen actually came to ask for the golden bell and said that the grudges between them would be written off. Could it be written off? My only brother was killed by you. This hatred was absolutely irreconcilable. The enemy was right in front of him, and he was even provoking him here. Jeffrey couldn't wait to tear Zichen apart, but he knew Zichen's strength. This guy was no longer the same person he was when he first entered the arena. He couldn't beat him alone. It would be difficult for him to even protect himself. And today's matter was obviously embarrassing him. If he didn't agree to this fight, he would lose all his face. And once he agreed, he wouldn't just lose face. As for the rules of the city, it was obvious that they couldn't punish someone who took the initiative to fight. Many people appeared in the surroundings and watched this scene curiously. Some people had heard some recent rumors, but they hadn't verified it. "Jeffrey, do you dare to accept the challenge?" Zichen continued to shout. "I'm just in the middle of the realm. Do you dare to challenge a Heaven's Choice state? And it's a life and death challenge." Of course, Jeffrey didn't dare. If he followed Zichun into the arena, only death awaited him. But he was extremely unwilling to give away the golden bell. Alva and the others heard the commotion and came over. In fact, they were very surprised. After all, they were just drinking with Zichun, and in the blink of an eye, Zichun came here to challenge Jeffrey to a life and death challenge. Here. Jeffrey hesitated again and again, but still threw the golden bell over. It was just a golden bell. It wasn't even comparable to his life, not to mention that he wanted the golden bell. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out. "You might as well give it to me." Chapter 49:39. If there was a second choice, Jeffrey would never hand over the golden bell. After all, he and Zichun were already mortal enemies. The so-called resolution of grievances was just a joke, but there was no other way. He couldn't beat Zichun, and he didn't dare to enter the arena, so he could only give up. Who knew that at this moment the young man would suddenly attack and snatch the golden bell? Jeffrey was very surprised, but he was happy to see the scene. Instead of giving it to Zichun to strengthen his combat strength, it was better to give it to the young man. So he deliberately controlled the golden bell and made it fly towards Jiang Jingzhe. "You want to steal from me?" A cold light flashed in Zichun's eyes, and the aura around him surged out. His aura immediately changed, and the fist technique of the immortal golden body was displayed. He punched out, and a powerful force enveloped the surroundings. Zichun didn't try to snatch the golden bell, but directly threw out this terrifying punch. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their expressions changed. They could see that Zichun's purpose was to kill, not the golden bell. Right now, he had given the young man a way out. He could reach the golden bell unimpeded and even snatch it, but it would be difficult for him to leave. He had to take Zichun's punch. The power of this punch could even make many Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators change their expressions, let alone a high realm cultivator. Jiang Jingzhe, who sensed the danger, paused. He didn't expect Zichun to be so insidious. Zichun's soul power fell on the golden bell, controlling it to float above his head. He didn't blame Jeffrey, but looked at the young man. "You want to steal from me?" The young man snorted. "Bullshit. I saw that no one wanted the golden bell, so I went to get it. Besides, it's not yours." Of course, he wouldn't admit that his actions were stealing. Otherwise, Zichun's fist would fall on him in the next moment. This guy was relying on his strength now, and he dared to fight anyone. Zichun restrained his aura, raised his hand, and released a ray of energy, refining the golden bell. He glanced at the young man and said sarcastically, "I don't think you have the guts." A cold light flashed in the young man's eyes, but he didn't do anything. Zichun put away the fourth golden bell, then looked at the other party and said, "Now, can you return the golden bell to me?" "What did you say?" Jiang Jingzhe was stunned. He didn't expect the other party to be so bold. He had just robbed Jeffrey, and now he wanted his golden bell. "You've got some guts," said Jiang Jingzhe. "You actually dare to steal my things in broad daylight." Killing intent surged out of him. "Do you want to die?" "I'm taking back what belongs to me." "How is this snatching?" Zichun looked at him calmly. "The golden bell belongs to me, Jiang Jingzhe. Everyone knows that, but now you say it's yours. If this isn't robbery, then what is?" Jiang Jingzhe's words were cold as he turned to look at the crowd. "Everyone, please be the judge. Does this count as robbery? Should we use the rules of Peace City to suppress him?" This was a grudge between the two of them. Of course, no one would respond. Jiang Jingzhe might have some tricks up his sleeve, but Zichun's fists had caused quite a few people to feel a sense of danger. They didn't want to get involved in the dispute between the two. Even Jeffrey chose to remain silent. He had just drawn a clear line between himself and Zichun, and he didn't want to provoke him again. "You're wrong," said Zichun. "I received the legacy of the Tao of Divine Glyphs, and before I left, The seniors of the Tao of Divine Glyphs specifically instructed me to take back the most precious treasure of the Tao of Divine Glyphs. Therefore, the golden bell is mine. Or rather, it belongs to the Tao of Divine Glyphs. This was the first time Zichen had admitted that he had received the legacy. This caused quite a few people to have strange expressions on their faces. However, Zichen now had the power to protect himself, so he wasn't worried that others would find out about this secret. "What a joke," said Jiang Jingzhe coldly. "Just because you say it's the legacy, it's the legacy? I also said that since it's my legacy, you should give it back to me." There was a flash of light in front of Jiang Jingzhe. "Look, the golden bell is right here. How can you prove that it's yours? On the other hand, I can prove that it's mine. Puppy." As soon as Jiang Jingzhe spoke, the golden bell trembled and emitted a melodious sound, as if in response. Jiang Jingzhe laughed complacently. "See, if I call it, it'll answer. Like I said, it's mine," said Zichen. "If I call it, it'll answer." "Why don't you give it a try?" said Jiang Jingzhe mockingly. "I'd like to see how you can make my golden bell answer you." "Well, I'll show you." Zichen took a step forward, and his aura once again surged. This time there was no fist energy, so his aura wasn't as frightening as before. For golden bells flew out from around him. When the young man saw this, his face fell. He hadn't expected Zichen to have not just one golden bell, but 4. Clearly, this was Jeffrey, the last one. Jeffrey was also shocked. He hadn't expected the other 3 to have already fallen. The 4 golden bells flew into the air, flashing with light. Zichen formed a seal with his hands. The golden bells trembled in the air, creating ripples. Within these ripples, divine patterns flowed, looking very mysterious. Zichen stared at the largest golden bell in the air and shouted, "Return to your positions!" As soon as he spoke, the 4 golden bells immediately flew forward, surrounding the largest golden bell in 4 directions. Bzzz. In the next moment, the 4 golden bells glowed, vibrating in the air and emitting melodious sounds. The largest golden bell was also affected and began to vibrate. Seeing this, Jiang Jingzhe sneered. "See, the 5 golden bells have returned to my side. I'm the inheritor, so they're mine. Now they're mine." As he spoke, Jiang Jingzhe raised his hand and was about to put away all the golden bells. Zichen looked at him as if he was looking at an idiot. Bzzz. The 5 golden bells trembled at the same time. Below the golden bells, 5 connected divine patterns appeared. The divine patterns rotated in the air, releasing a vast aura as they descended from the sky. The power that the young man had unleashed earlier was instantly extinguished. Then he felt a powerful pressure fall from above. He couldn't stand at all and fell to the ground with a plop. How could this be? His expression changed drastically. He tried to activate the largest golden bell to protect him, but found no reaction. At that moment, the divine rune diagram in the sky started to slowly rotate. Every time it rotated, a terrifying amount of energy would dissipate from it. From afar, it looked like a millstone was crushing space. "Ah!" Jiang Jingzhe let out a miserable cry. A part of his soul was forcefully obliterated. Not only the soul in the largest golden bell, but also his own soul. He could feel that the golden bell still belonged to him. The imprint inside had not disappeared, but the golden bell had been controlled by a powerful force. Buzz! The divine patterns were still rotating. Jiang Jingzhe's second soul was obliterated. This made him feel infinite fear because Zichen didn't forcefully snatch the golden bell. Instead, he wanted to obliterate his soul. When the last wisp of soul disappeared, the golden bell naturally changed owners. And now, Zichen's actions were not to snatch the golden bell, but to kill. Buzz! The divine patterns in the air crushed down like a millstone. Its aura was terrifying and once again obliterated Jiang Jingzhe's soul. At this moment, Jiang Jingzhe had lost nearly 30% of his soul. His aura immediately became weak. Buzz. Chapter 4940. The annihilation of his soul caused Jiang Jingzhe to scream miserably. His body was trembling, and his facial features were contorted in agony. The divine pattern diagram in the sky firmly suppressed him, causing him to be unable to move at all. The largest golden bell that had long since recognized its master not only refused to listen to his orders, but it also became the most crucial thing to obliterate his soul. Zichen stood opposite, his expression cold as he controlled the 5 golden bells. It would be very easy to retrieve the golden bells now, but he did not do so. Instead, he chose to obliterate Jiang Jingzhe's soul before retrieving the golden bells. To put it more simply, he was going to kill. He was going to kill in a righteous and justified manner. The others in the surroundings could naturally see it, but no one made a sound at the moment. Jeffrey's scalp tingled as he watched. He secretly rejoiced that he had made the most correct choice. Otherwise, the one lying on the ground and screaming now would not be Jiang Jingzhe, but him. Gino and the others also came over after hearing the commotion. Seeing the scene before them, their faces were filled with shock. Alva and the others were the same. They did not expect Zichen to actually dare to do this. Save. Help. Jiang Jingzhe's eyes were filled with terror. This young man, who had always been incomparably arrogant and never knew what fear was now begging for mercy. But at this moment, who could come out and stop him? Or rather, who would be willing to come out and stop him? Save me. Jiang Jingzhe's 7th soul was obliterated. The divine pattern diagram had divided his soul into 10 parts. Now, the 7th part had already been obliterated. 3 more and his life would end. Zichen still did not hold back. The divine pattern diagram in the sky continued to spin, crushing like a millstone. The 8th soul was obliterated. Save me. Save me. Jiang Jingzhe was really scared. But no matter how he begged for help, no one spoke up to plead for him. Buzz. The 9th soul was obliterated. There was only one left. At this moment, a light figure appeared and arrived in front of Zichen. It was Black Dragon. He glanced at the weak and terrified Jiang Jingzhe, then turned to Zichen and smiled. Young friend, this kid has some connections with the city magistrate's mansion. Do you think you can let him go? The Black Dragon didn't use his power to oppress others. Instead, he was negotiating with Zichen. This shocked many people. Just enough time to summon it back. Zichen waved his hands, and the divine runic diagrams in the air disappeared. The 5 golden bells flew back and revolved slowly above his head. Strands of golden light cascaded downwards. As for the soul that Jiang Jingzhe had recognized as its master, it was instantly obliterated. With the crisis gone, Jiang Jingzhe stood up. At this moment, 90% of his soul had been obliterated and his aura was extremely weak. His entire soul fire was like a candle in the night wind. Most of the existences present could easily kill him. Black Dragon, are you trying to embarrass me? Now that he was saved, the fear on his face faded away. His still pale face was filled with resentment and dissatisfaction as he questioned the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon didn't respond to Jiang Jingzhe. Instead, he looked at Zichen. At this moment, the 5 golden bells were protecting him. Zichen's body was surrounded by a mysterious light. The Black Dragon nodded at Zichen and didn't say anything else. Black Dragon, I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Jiang Jingzhe's eyes were filled with resentment. He pointed at Zichen and said, "Kill him right now. Otherwise, when the city magistrate returns, don't blame me for being impolite." Many people had strange expressions. Although they knew that Jiang Jingzhe had some connections with the city magistrate's mansion, they didn't know what those connections were. But now, this person dared to speak to the Black Dragon with such an attitude and even use such a commanding tone. Clearly, his status wasn't ordinary. Black Dragon, kill him! The young man once again pointed at Zichen and used a forceful tone to order the black dragon. The black dragon lightly tapped his foot, and a ripple spread out. His figure disappeared. At the same time, a powerful force landed on the young man's body and sent him flying. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but the place where he landed was exactly the arena. This scene caused Jiang Jingzhe's expression to change greatly. He looked ahead and saw Zi Chen's figure like a bolt of lightning, heading straight for the arena. "Here, you can kill people." He wanted to curse the black dragon, but seeing Zi Chen about to enter the arena, he hurriedly shouted, "I admit defeat! I admit defeat!" With that, he quickly jumped off the arena from the other side. Ignoring the other spectators, he jumped off the arena and ran straight for the city magistrate's mansion. Without the black dragon, he didn't dare to provoke Zi Chen again. Just a moment ago, if the black dragon hadn't appeared, Zi Chen really would have dared to kill him. Zi Chen was only cooperating with the black dragon to scare his opponent. If he really wanted to kill him, he wouldn't have needed to fly over himself. The Taoist sword was fleeting and could take a life. Jiang Jingzhe threw away the golden bell and fled. Seeing that there was no show to watch, the others also left. Alva ran toward Zi Chen. Seeing this scene, his drunkenness had long since dissipated. Helen and the others stood in the distance. "Zi Chen, you!" Before he could finish speaking, he saw the space beside Zi Chen suddenly split open by a force, and then a murderous intent surged out. A ray of sword light shot towards Zi Chen's forehead without a sound. Boom! The powerful aura around Zi Chen's body surged violently, spreading out like a golden wave. The faces of those who had retreated earlier changed when they felt this violent aura. Who would be so bold as to attack in the city? When they turned back, they saw Zi Chen's body shining with golden light, his robe fluttering, and his aura completely erupting. And directly in front of him, there was a black-clothed man holding a long sword. At this moment, the tip of the sword was pointed at Zi Chen's forehead. The black-clothed man looked shocked. Seeing this scene, everyone's faces changed again. Daring to kill in public? Swish! The black-clothed man holding the sword quickly retreated, his body twisting as if it was formed by an illusion. He wanted to escape after failing to kill with one strike. Die! Zi Chen's forehead bled as he rushed forward and punched out. Boom! The void suddenly shook, and the space in front of him began to distort. Zi Chen's punch had almost penetrated it. The black-clothed man's body dissipated into thin air and entered the distorted space. Trying to run, Zi Chen's eyes bloomed with light, and the path sword appeared. With his immortal spiritual eye, he saw a blurry shadow traveling through the void and escaping quickly. Swish! The path sword moved forward, carrying the power of divine patterns. It broke through space and slashed at the shadow. The shadow disappeared once again. Zi Chen's gaze moved, and the path sword kept cutting through space. Every time it fell, he could see a shadow shatter. The others stood in the distance, looking ahead in shock. They did not know what was going on, until a cold snort came from the city lord's residence, and then a palm print appeared in the sky. "How dare you behave atrociously in Peace City? You're courting death." Black chi surged in the sky, and a palm print that almost covered the entire city appeared and pressed down. Everyone felt a suffocating pressure. Many people couldn't even stand properly under this pressure. Boom! Chapter 49-41. The energy of the palm print dissipated, and something fell from the sky. Zi Chen's figure flashed, and he quickly approached it. He saw a broken talisman paper. He was slightly startled. At his current level, he had long since stopped using talismans because they could no longer contain more power. However, this talisman paper was different. The material was extremely special. Even if the power contained in it had disappeared, he could still feel that it was extraordinary. The others stood in the distance and watched with bewildered expressions. There was a rule in Peace City that no matter what happened, no one was allowed to fight here. However, that black figure had violated this rule. It's the immortal ancient talisman. Black Dragon appeared beside Zichen. He looked at the talisman paper on the ground and said, "It's also called the Death Substitute Talisman. It can save a life at a critical moment." Zichen glanced at Black Dragon. Black Dragon seemed to have guessed what he wanted to ask. He shook his head and said he's not from Peace City. If he was not from Peace City, he would naturally not follow the rules of Peace City. Zichen nodded. He had guessed where the other party was from. However, he did not expect that the other party would be so bold. They did not wait for him to leave Peace City and directly made a move here. This immortal ancient talisman is very precious. This time, the other party used it to exchange for a life. I believe that they will not make a move in the city. You are safe in the city for now. However, once you go out, it will be hard to say. Black Dragon warned, "You'd better not go out for a while. You deserve to be schemed against in broad daylight. This is the price of being arrogant." Jiang Jingzhe returned and said regretfully, "What a pity. Why didn't they kill you?" Zichen glanced at Jiang Jingzhe and ignored him. This guy could only show off for a while when Black Dragon was here. When Black Dragon left, he would have to tuck his tail between his legs again. The others also dispersed. However, they were all shocked. The people from Immortal Slaughter City were very bold. They dared to kill people in Peace City. Alva was so scared that he did not dare to come over. He was still standing in the same place. Previously, he wanted to talk to Zichen, so he distracted Zichen. Zichen wiped the blood from between his eyebrows. If he had not obtained the immortal golden body and strengthened his body again, the other party's sneak attack would have killed him. "It's fine. You can go back." Zichen glanced at Alva and said to everyone who was worried about him. Originally, he had planned to look for the two old men in black and white, but after being ambushed, he gave up on this plan. He still had a lot of resources on him, so he had to refine them first. Whether or not he could increase his realm was another matter. Being able to strengthen his physical body was also extremely good. At the very least, when he was facing a sneak attack when he couldn't react in time, his physical body could save his life. This time it was mainly due to luck. Helen and the others left as they wouldn't be of much help even if they continued to stay. After returning, Zichen laid down divine runes in his room to prevent any accidents from happening. Since the other party dared to attack them in the city, it was clear that they couldn't wait any longer. He was a little worried about the trial realm that belonged to them and worried about the two old men, black and white. After that, he began to refine the power of the immortal golden body. This power was extremely pure and could be used to refine his physical body. Power entered his body bit by bit, strengthening his body. A beam of light appeared outside Peace City. It was the masked man from before. The moment he appeared, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Even though he had used the death substitute ancient talisman, he was still seriously injured. In addition to Zichen's attack, Black Dragon's attack was extremely fatal. He had no intention of holding back at all. Fortunately, he had decisively used the ancient talisman. If he had hesitated for even a moment, it would have been too late. Then, a black token appeared in his hand. After activating it, his figure disappeared. A moment later, a figure appeared here. It was Black Dragon who had rushed over from the city. His attack was not only to kill the enemy, but also to leave a trace of his aura. However, when the aura reached here, it suddenly disappeared. Black Dragon looked around and didn't find anything. He frowned. Although his tracking aura wasn't strong, not everyone could suppress it. Unless his eyes flashed slightly, then he turned back. At this moment, the masked man in black was in an independent space. Other than him, there was also an old man. The two of them watched Black Dragon's arrival and departure. He should have guessed it. The old man watched Black Dragon leave with a cold expression. "Did you succeed?" The masked man in black shook his head a trace of shame in his eyes. Failed? How is that possible? The old man didn't dare to believe it. The masked man explained the process of the sneak attack. In fact, everything went smoothly. Zichen didn't notice at all. However, there was a problem with his final attack. He actually didn't kill Zichen. When the old man heard this, he was very surprised. The reason why he chose the masked man to kill Zichen was naturally after careful consideration. Even if Zichen had reached the middle level, he couldn't possibly be alive. His skull couldn't even be broken by your sword. What level of physical body is that? The old man's expression changed. He was somewhat shocked, but the masked man couldn't explain it. The old man said, "I'll take you back to heal first. As for the next step of the mission, we'll talk about it after we've gathered some information." With that, the two of them disappeared at the same time. If they let the masked man leave alone, Black Dragon would definitely chase after him and kill him. After returning, they sent people to gather information about Zichen. Without asking around, they wouldn't have known, but once they did, they were shocked. His physical body was actually the invulnerable golden body. Even the invulnerable golden body has spread here. It seems the immortal spell realm really has disappeared. The old man's expression turned cold. He was none other than Seuss, who had gone to find White Lake. With such conclusive evidence, I'd like to see what reason they have to refuse. Right now, the only correct path is to open the Saint Spirit Realm and unify the 10,000 worlds. Seuss didn't issue any new orders. Instead, he personally went to find the two old men in black and white. This time, however, he didn't even get to see their faces. This made him very angry. After returning, the radical overseers gathered together to discuss matters. "Seuss, what do you plan to do next?" One of the overseers asked after Seuss told them about his latest discovery. "We have to go to the Saint Spirit Realm, or our plan won't work." Seuss snorted. "Right now, all we have to do is kill Zichen and refine his soul. Then we'll be able to find the coordinates. Of course, there's another way, and that's to assimilate White Lake's trial realm. When the time comes, everyone from that realm will appear, and we'll just have to kill any one of them to get the coordinates." At this time, another overseer spoke up. "Actually, there's another way. We can force our way into White Lake's trial realm and send some of our people over. Then we'll naturally have the coordinates. Of course, if we can kill Zichen here, it'd be best. I'll arrange to kill Zichen," Sue said, standing up. "As for breaking into White Lake's trial realm, I'll leave it to you." But in the following days, the people Seuss arranged didn't find a chance to kill Zichen. This was because Zichen hid in his room and refused to come out. There were divine glyphs all around the room, making it impossible to force their way in. For a time, the assassination attempt was at a stalemate. Chapter 49-42. Zichen had to leave the room because the news that had spread to the city had a lot to do with him. Others might not understand, but he knew what it meant. The news told him that the people of the Immortal Slaughter City were about to break through a trial realm. Among the many trial realms that were united, the only one that the people of the Immortal Slaughter City cared about was the independent trial realm where the Saint Spirit Realm was located. Zichen had to go and see for himself whether the news was true or not. If it was true, he had to stop it. If it was false, he had to go and see for himself. Once the passage was broken through, Zichen's friends would bear the brunt of the attack. Their combat power was much weaker than the people of the Immortal Slaughter City. Once they encountered each other, they would definitely suffer heavy casualties. This was something he did not want to see. Moreover, in the Saint Spirit Realm, he still had the Tianwu world, which was almost equivalent to his home. It was the home of many people. Zichen left Peace City. During this time, he did not say goodbye to the people of the other teams. He left quietly by himself. After leaving the city, he went back all the way. Although he was not sure if he could go back, he would definitely find those people along the way. Just after Zichen left, 3 people appeared in the sky. One of them was Black Dragon. One of them was in front, while the other two were behind him. Black Dragon was half a step away from him. City Lord now. Black Dragon tilted his head and looked at the man next to him. The other party was the City Lord of Peace City, who rarely showed himself. The man said he chose this path of protection, so he can only walk it himself. But Black Dragon looked a little hesitant. If we make a move, a war between the two cities will definitely break out. The City Lord said, no one wants to see such a large-scale battle, so the next path will depend on how Zichen walks it. What we can do is to restrain the absolute power of the Immortal Slaughter City and force them to abide by the rules so that they can't attack Zichen. Black Dragon said, but how can we explain it to them if we just leave it alone? The Black Dragon treated Zichen quite well, and one of the main reasons for this was that someone had given them a heads up. Zichen was new here, and his realm was low, so they should help him if they could. There are many relics in the immortal spell world, and the hearts of the people are wavering. Their wills are no longer as resolute, so they have chosen to remain neutral at this time. The City Lord said, therefore, they decided to leave everything to the will of the heavens. Heaven's will? The Black Dragon was stunned and said, we're all cultivators, yet you actually believe in something as illusory as the will of the heavens. Isn't this too much of a joke? The City Lord said, I don't believe it either, but those supervisors do. They swear that whenever there is a problem with the order of heaven and earth, the heaven and earth will sense it and show the world a way to restore order. Is it really that miraculous? The Black Dragon clearly didn't quite believe it. The monitor said so. After all, they have been to the immortal spell world before. The City Lord sighed and said, this is the only thing they firmly believe in now, so they still insist that the immortal spell world still exists. Otherwise, they would have joined forces with those radicals long ago. Then the City Lord said, let's go and take a look. Although we can't help, we can feel what the will of the heavens has arranged. Can Zichen change the will of the entire Immortal Slayer City and those supervisors by himself? Zichen returned the way he came at an extremely fast speed. During this time, his soul power spread out in all directions, vigilant of danger. He was a little worried that this was a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. The existence that attacked him that day might be hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to strike. After leaving the city for 100 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers, until he was 10,000 kilometers away, he didn't encounter any attacks. This made Zichen's heart sink. The fact that there was no attack proved that the news was true. However, even he didn't know where to return to the trial realm that belonged to them, so he could only move forward according to the general direction. After tens of thousands of kilometers, Zichen finally found something. He saw Pieser from the Immortal Slayer City and 5 high-level trial cultivators. The 6 of them were attacking a space. A barrier appeared in that space, separating the 2 trial realms. Seeing this scene, Zichen's face immediately turned ugly. If he had come a little later, this place would have been penetrated. What surprised him even more was that they actually found the barrier. Whoosh! The thunder technique escape was displayed to the extreme, and a cold light flickered in his eyes. Get lost! Zichen roared and rushed forward. Seeing this, the others immediately retreated, not daring to face Zichen head-on. Buzz! Just as Zichen was standing in front of the barrier, the sky suddenly trembled, and a large shining net fell from the sky. A smile appeared at the corner of Pieser's mouth. You cowardly turtle, you finally came out. Boom! Zichen clenched his right fist and punched toward the sky. His aura instantly skyrocketed, and an unparalleled will appeared, shattering the energy net with one punch. You have some skills, but you still have to die today. A high-level trial cultivator sneered. A long saber appeared in front of him, and in an instant, a bone-chilling murderous intent appeared. Go to hell! A cold light flickered in his eyes. He quickly approached and slashed at Zi-Chun with a saber. Buzz! The moment the saber light fell, the light changed and turned into nearly 100 sabers that fell from the sky. Zi-Chen looked at the saber with an unchanged expression and threw out an immortal punch. Boom! Infinite golden light shone, and half of the sky seemed to be cast in golden light. A powerful force surged and shattered the saber light in an instant. The extraordinary saber in the opponent's hand was shattered by Zi-Chen's punch. The golden light fist did not diminish, and the immortal was not extinguished. It landed on the opponent's chest and sent him flying backward. After landing, the opponent was motionless. A high-level cultivator had actually been killed by a single punch from Zi-Chen. The faces of the others were filled with astonishment. Clearly, they did not expect Zi-Chen's battle strength to be so terrifying. Even Pai Koer was shocked. When he had fought Zi-Chen before, Zi-Chen had only been able to kill him with his Dao sword. But now that he had advanced to the middle level, he was able to kill a high-level cultivator with just one punch. Such an attack must be very exhausting. Everyone, let's work together to kill him. However, Pieser did not retreat. He looked at the others and chose to take the initiative to attack. Next, Zi-Chen's figure flashed and rushed toward the crowd. He only used his fists and punched again and again. The City Lord and Black Dragon appeared. They stood in a place where the others could not see and watched the battle. At this moment, Zi-Chen displayed his absolute strength. One high-level cultivator after another was killed by him. The battle was relatively easy for Zi-Chen. However, whether it was the City Lord, Black Dragon, or the other person, they all had a solemn expression. This was because when the battle was happening, the immortal Slaughter City had made a big move. Many experts were rushing over. It could be said that the entire city was mobilized. Chapter 49-43. Dong! Zi-Chen's fist was unstoppable. It landed on the other party's body with an unparalleled force. The high realm cultivators who appeared here died one after another. Pieser's eyelids twitched as he watched this scene. His expression was one of shock. Last time, Zi-Chen had needed to use his path sword to fight him to a draw. Now, Zi-Chen's combat ability had risen to such a terrifying level. Go to hell! He found an opportunity to come behind Zi-Chen and launch a sneak attack. Zi-Chen turned around and punched out calmly. Pieser saw a golden light bloom in front of him. It was like a golden ocean sweeping towards him. An indescribable force landed on him. There was a touch of horror in his eyes. He wanted to escape, but unfortunately, he was suppressed by the force. There was nowhere to run. At the critical moment, he could only desperately urge his energy to block Zi-Chen's punch. Boom! When the fist really landed on him, Pieser knew that he was overthinking. This punch had long exceeded the scope of the trial realm. It was not something he could block. Where the fist light passed, the immortal power exploded. Pieser fell to the ground. He was the last one. After killing Pieser, Zi-Chen turned around and looked at the barrier. Opposite was their trial realm. Ordinary people could not find the barrier. Since the barrier had appeared, it meant that the monitors had made a move. At least this was their attitude. There was an energy vibration behind him. Zi-Chen turned around and saw figures flying over from afar. These people's auras were very strong. The weakest one was an high realm cultivator. Their auras were obviously hostile. Zi-Chen watched quietly. His expression did not change much. But in the next moment he could not stay calm, because many people appeared behind him. They were densely packed. Their auras were different. Some were strong and some were weak. Most of these people came with curiosity. They did not have strong killing intent. They should be from the immortal Slaughter City. Could it be that the entire city was here? Zi-Chen's expression changed. At this moment, a large group of people appeared in his field of vision. Among these people, there were some familiar faces. They were from Peace City. Most of their expressions were filled with doubt and confusion. They must have seen all the people from the Immortal Slayer city moving out. Therefore, even though they did not know what was going on, they also came over. Helen's team was also there. Alva said with some regret, something big must have happened since all the people from the Immortal Slaughter City were mobilized. It's a pity that Z-chan is not in the room. I'm afraid we will miss it. The Chien brothers also nodded their heads. Since the establishment of the Immortal Slaughter City, it had never happened that all the members of the Immortal Slaughter City were mobilized. Therefore, this incident was definitely not a small one. Where did Z-chan go? Big Beard asked. I don't know. I called him many times, but there was no response. Then I opened the door to take a look, but he was not in the room either. Alva said, I'll keep an eye out later to see if he's in the crowd. Don't worry about it. At this moment, Helen's voice sounded. She looked ahead. There was a person standing at the very front. His position was opposite to everyone else. That's Z-chan. Why is he there? Alva's eyes widened. Then he said in disbelief, Could it be that all these people are here for him? This time, no one answered him because they were not sure either. However, everyone had a bad feeling when they saw Z-chan's position. That was because he was standing opposite everyone. People from both cities were here. Although most of them were here to watch the show, there were also many who were here with killing intent. Z-chan looked ahead and waited for these people to come out. He stomped his feet lightly, and the corpses on the ground flew away from this place. Next, this was the battlefield. At this moment, a person in front stood out. He carried a long saber on his back and looked coldly at Z-chan. Get out of the way. Z-chan shook his head. The other party said unhappily, You want to go against everyone? Behind is where we live. You people are not allowed to set foot in here, Z-chan said. Childish. The other party snorted. Now that the immortal spell realm has been destroyed, we can only work together to create a new one. Don't you think it's childish to divide between you and me? We're going to create a great world. This is a magnificent feat. Z-chan looked at the other party. We just want to live a stable life. We don't need any magnificent feat. Jerome, don't talk nonsense with him. Kill him and we'll refine his soul. Then we'll naturally find that place. A dissatisfied voice came from the crowd. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being rude. The other party stepped forward. His aura surged. He was a Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator. Exclamations came from behind. Z-chan was not surprised. Too many high realms had died. If this person dared to stand out, he would not be a stupid high realm cultivator. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being rude. The other party's figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. His speed surprised Z-chan. Whoosh! In the next moment, the other party came to Z-chan's side. The long saber in his hand slashed horizontally and went straight for Z-chan's neck. Z-chan stepped back and dodged the attack. Then he quickly moved forward and threw out a punch. It was the same terrifying punch as before. Golden light lit up the surroundings. The other party reacted quickly. He immediately retracted his long saber and blocked the punch. Along with the powerful shock, he was sent flying. He was the only one who had not been killed by Z-chan's punch. After all, he was a Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator. He would not die so easily. The other party steadied his body and charged forward again with his saber. Z-chan began to dodge and seized the opportunity to throw out a punch. He did not use his powerful weapon. He only used his fists and thunder escape. The people outside were watching in silence. Among the people from the Immortal Slaughter City, many of them had cold expressions. He wanted to stop the Immortal Slaughter City with just one person? He was simply overestimating himself. A person stood at the front. The other party's aura was terrifying. He was a truly powerful expert. However, he did not make a move. Instead, he watched the battle. After dozens of exchanges, the other party could no longer hold back and said indifferently, Jerome, don't hold back anymore. In today's battle, one of you must die." Jerome's eyes turned cold when he heard that. Since one of us must die, of course it's him. As his voice fell, the aura around him became even more terrifying. He looked at Zichin and said, "Remember, the person who killed you is called Jerome. In this new trial realm, I'll be the one who kills you." Poof! Zichen's eyes turned cold. He gently tapped between his eyebrows. A golden light flew out like a bolt of golden lightning and instantly entered Jerome's sea of consciousness. The other party let out a scream. His eyes were wide open, and the terrifying aura around him began to dissipate. A Taoist sword drew an arc and flew back to Zichen's side. In order to fight a Heaven's Choice state, one had to rely on external objects. He looked at the other party's fallen body with a cold expression. "The person who killed you is called Zichin." Chapter 49-44. The Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators died in an instant. Zichin stood alone against everyone, as if he could hold back 10,000 enemies. His eyes were cold. The path sword floated beside him, flickering with a cold light. After the path sword appeared, Zichin did not withdraw it. It was a deterrent. The man from before had a cold expression. He glanced behind him, and two people immediately walked out. The two of them slowly approached Zichin, one on the left and one on the right. The aura they released was also that of the Heaven's Choice Realm. Exclamations came from behind. The two Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators had joined forces. Zichin looked at one of them. The path sword flew forward like a bolt of lightning, carrying with it the intent to kill. The other party's expression changed, but he did not retreat. Light flashed in front of him, and a 3-story pagoda appeared. The pagoda bloomed with light and blocked in front of him. Clang! The path sword landed on the pagoda with a clang, but it did not cut it open. The path sword's killing move missed. The other person quickly rushed toward Zichin. The path sword turned back and attacked the other party again. Clang! The path sword turned back a second time. A mountain appeared in front of the other party, blocking the path sword. Seeing this, the expressions of the people behind changed. It seemed that the two of them had come prepared. The two of them alternated between the left and right. Whoever Zichin attacked with the path sword would be in charge of defense, and the other person would be in charge of offense. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were less than 10 feet away from Zichin. During this time, the path sword clashed with the two weapons more than 10 times, but it could not do anything to the other party. Seeing the two of them approaching, Zichen's eyes were filled with killing intent. The path sword in front of him suddenly burst with a bright light and charged straight at one of them. Poof! At such a close distance, the path sword immediately pierced through the other party's pagoda. Then, the path sword continued forward and entered the other party's sea of consciousness. Dead. Seeing this, the other person wanted to retreat. Zichin said that it was too late, and the path sword pierced through. Exclamations came from behind. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect the path sword to be so powerful. The two of them were not only Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators, but their weapons were also extraordinary. They did not expect the path sword to break through. Damned bastard, he's actually playing the pig to eat the tiger. In the crowd, Jiang Jingzhe couldn't help but bite his lip when he saw the two Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators fall. This wasn't what he wanted to see. He just wanted to see Zichin die. The people from the Immortal Slaughter City looked gloomy. 3 Heaven's Choice Realm experts had died in the blink of an eye. It was a blow to their morale. The man in the lead with a terrifying aura looked behind him again. This time, 5 people walked out. When Black Dragon saw this, he frowned slightly and wanted to say something. The city lord on the side said they didn't break the rules. According to Zichen's current battle prowess, it is indeed equivalent to the Heaven's Chosen Realm. Black Dragon nodded and didn't say anything else. There were only 2 people before, but now there were 5. Furthermore, These 5 people were also on guard against Zichen as they moved forward. Each of them took out a weapon that was no weaker than the previous 2. Zichen controlled the Dao sword and charged forward. For a moment, clanging sounds rang out. However, with the previous example, no one believed Zichen at this moment, and all of them were filled with vigilance. A powerful force surged. Everyone was still accumulating power and could unleash a terrifying attack at any time. The Dao sword was very strong, but Zichen's current realm was too low. He was only in the middle realm of the trial. If he was in the Heaven's Choice realm, these people probably wouldn't even have the courage to move forward. The Dao sword flew back and no longer tried to attack. It quietly floated above Zichen's head. When the 5 people saw this, they were all shocked and secretly wondered what Zichen was up to. Zichen closed his eyes and took out a portion of his immortal power. He wanted to quickly recover the consumption of his physical body. This made the 5 people even more afraid to move forward. The situation was in a deadlock. This scene was very shocking. Zichen just stood there with his eyes closed. But the 5 Heaven's Choice realm cultivators were so scared that they didn't dare to move forward. At this moment, a dissatisfied snort came from behind. No matter what he's up to, the 5 of us will definitely be able to kill him if we join forces. One of them shouted. Then, the 5 of them rushed toward Zichen at the same time. At this moment, Zichen opened his eyes. There was something in his hand. It was probably a bone staff and not a regular weapon. Zichen looked a little strange with it in his hand. But the next moment, Zichen raised the bone staff and smashed it forward. Crack! The weapon in the hand of a Heaven's Choice realm cultivator near Zichen shattered the moment it touched the bone staff. At the same time, the bone staff didn't slow down and smashed into his chest. There was a loud bang, and the other party was sent flying. After landing, there was no more movement. Zichen's expression was cold. The Dao sword floated above his head. He didn't attack. The bone staff in his hand smashed down again and smashed toward the second person. The bone staff looked very ordinary and emitted a pure white light. There was no powerful aura surging, but when it landed, its power was extraordinary. Boom! The second Heaven's Choice realm cultivator was sent flying with his weapon. After landing, his weapon shattered and he lost his vitality. When the other 3 saw this, their expressions changed drastically. There was a hint of fear in their eyes. Whoosh! Zichen instantly closed in on one of them. He raised the bone staff high, and a jade-like radiance sprinkled down. At the same time, the Dao sword moved forward and blocked another person's attack. There was an uproar in the distance. This time, the people of the 2 cities were shocked, because with the bone staff, Zichen was almost unstoppable. Every time the bone staff fell, a life would be taken. One had to know that these were all Heaven's Choice realm cultivators. They had an extremely strong vitality, unless one had absolute combat strength, who could kill them on the battlefield. But now, in this battle with Zichen, their lives were easily harvested like grass. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on Zichen. To be precise, they were staring at the bone staff in his hand. Zichen's combat strength was extraordinary. After all, he was an existence that could challenge Heaven's Choice realm cultivators. But the thing that truly gave him invincible combat strength was the bone staff. The Dao sword was also very good, but it obviously couldn't compare to the bone staff. Boom! The 4th Heaven's Choice realm cultivator was killed by the bone staff. Powerful energy fluctuations spread out in all directions, forming waves of ripples. When the last Heaven's Choice realm cultivator saw this, he turned and ran. Since all 4 of them were dead, he would definitely die if he was left alone. Whoosh! But the moment he turned around, the Dao sword flew over and sank into the back of his head. Bang! The other party flew more than 30 meters and then fell to the ground. He was still dead. The Dao sword flew back and floated above Zichen's head. Zi Chen held the bone staff in his hand and was covered in blood. He looked like a demon that had walked out of hell. Corpses were strewn all around and blood flowed out. It was a shocking scene. Everyone was shocked by this scene. This kind of combat strength was too terrifying. His combat strength is very strong. Even in the two cities, he is definitely a top existence. Unfortunately, he has to face an entire city. The city, Lord of Peace City, sighed regretfully. If it was just an ordinary enemy, they would have been frightened. But now, Zi Chen had to face an entire city. The people who came today were here to pass through the barrier behind him and fight for a new world. Therefore, they would not be intimidated by him. Sure enough, in the next moment, another 10 Heavens Choice Realm cultivators walked out. Chapter 49-45. Seeing another 10 Heavens Choice Realms move forward. Heilong's expression changed, and he couldn't help but ask, "If this continues, when will it end?" After killing one, 2 more would appear. After killing 2, 5 would appear. After 5 died, 10 more would appear. Not to mention that Zi Chen was alone. Even the floating gods and immortals couldn't deal with it. The city lord said, "What Zi Chen wants to stop is the will of a city. If it wasn't for the suppression from above, he would have fallen long ago." Zi Chen was only in the middle realm of the trial after all, and there were countless powerhouses in a city. The higher-level powerhouses of the immortal Slaughter City didn't appear because of the suppression. The city lord finally said, "And if Zi Chen wants to end this battle, he needs to kill all the initial stage Heaven's Choice Realms." How is that possible? Heilong's expression changed, and so did the people beside him. How could one person fight against a city of Heaven's Choice Realms? Not to mention, he was only in the middle realm of the trial. If Zi Chen wants to fight against a city, he naturally has to withstand the will of the city. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Give up. You can't stop us. If you retreat now, we can spare your life. The leader looked at Zi Chen and said indifferently. Zi Chen's expression didn't change as he looked up at the sky. The 10 Heavens Choice Realms quickly approached with killing intent surging around them. Zi Chen retracted his gaze from the sky and looked at the 10 people, then into the distance. It was clear that there were others preparing behind the 10. This was destined to be an unending battle. He laughed heartily and said, "If that's the case, then let's begin." In the sky, energy trembled and 5 golden bells appeared. Ripples of golden light surged, and the golden bells formed a rune diagram in the sky. They spun in the air with a vast aura. "Everyone, don't be shy. If you want to kill me, then come at me." Zi Chen laughed heartily. The path sword turned into a stream of light and attacked the 10 people in front of him. In the sky, a terrifying pressure descended and landed on the 10 Heavens Choice Realms, causing them to feel great pressure and their expressions to change. As the Dao sword approached, it was blocked by a person. Zi Chen followed closely behind, the bone club in his hand falling down and reaping the life of his opponent. Puff! At the same time, a second ray of light, filled with boundless killing intent, flew out from the other side and killed a Heaven's Choice cultivator. It was the spirit of slaughter that was born in the lightning controlling technique. At this moment, Zi Chen no longer held back and used all of his treasures. He was going to start a massacre, kill until they were powerless. In the sky, the divine glyph diagram was vast and mighty, and a terrifying pressure descended. A Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator was suppressed and couldn't move at all. The Dao sword followed, reaping the life of the other party. Some people tried to shatter the divine pattern in the sky, but when their attacks fell into the divine pattern, it was like a clay ox entering the sea and did not cause the slightest ripple. In the next moment, Zi Chen closed in and swept his bone staff across, sending him flying backward. A single hit would result in death. The people of the two cities were extremely shocked. Zi Chen's killing power was too terrifying. One had to know that everyone present was a Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator, an extremely powerful existence. But now they were like clay chickens and pottery dogs, dying just like that. This is too ferocious, Alva, who was also in the middle of the trial, exclaimed. If only I had 1% of Zi-Chen's combat power, how good would that be? If you really have such combat power, you'll die even faster, the bearded man snorted. When will this battle end? Helen looked into the distance and muttered, maybe it'll never end, or maybe it'll wait until all of them fall. How is that possible? Zi-Chen is only one person. All of them understood the meaning behind her words and were extremely shocked. Even if Zi-Chen had heaven-defying means, how could he fight against a city full of powerful cultivators? Helen was also helpless. She saw Black Dragon and the city lord, but they didn't come out to stop it. Clearly, they had tacitly agreed to this. Many people in the surroundings could see that although this battle appeared to be unfair, it actually abided by some sort of fairness. Soon, all 10 Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators were dead. Everyone seemed to be numb and were no longer as shocked as before. They just looked forward, wondering how many Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators would appear this time. The man in the lead waved his hand and said nothing. However, the palm he swung out was like the edge of a blade, carrying with it a kind of decisiveness. It was this determined attitude that indicated that this was the final battle. Swish, 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 light flickered. Someone was walking forward. It wasn't 1, 2, 10, or 20 people, but all of them. All the initial stage Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators from the immortal Slaughter City moved out at this moment. They represented the will of the immortal Slaughter City. If Zi-Chan wanted to resist this will, he naturally had to block all of their attacks. The spectators from Peace City in the distance, no matter how much they expected it, couldn't help but exclaim when they saw the scene. This was the real final battle. You want to block all of us by yourself? You're overestimating yourself. Someone in the crowd shouted in a low voice. This is the momentum of heaven and earth. You're too selfish to block it. Today we must step over the corpses and achieve a supreme feat. Today we must sacrifice you with blood. Some of the charging Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators shouted in a righteous manner. What's the use of saying so much nonsense? You just want to take over our world. I only have one word for you, plunderers. Facing the densely packed Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators, Zi-Chen's eyes were cold and sharp like a knife. Kill! In the sky, the golden bell vibrated, and the divine rune diagram expanded in size. The pressure became tyrannical again. Everyone was fearless and charged forward at the same time. Clang! At this moment, a melodious bell rang, forming a golden ripple. When the dozens of Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators came into contact with the golden ripple, their bodies were instantly annihilated like the wind, leaving only jade-like skeletons that fell from the sky. This is the move! Jiang Xingzhe shouted excitedly. This was the power of the largest golden bell. It originally belonged to him, but its lethality wasn't strong and could only serve as a deterrent. But in the next moment, he was shocked to find that none of the Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators who fell to the ground as skeletons were alive. They were all dead. There was an uproar again. The moment the bell rang, it took the lives of dozens of Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators. This was too frightening. Zi-Chen's face gradually paled, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. When the golden bell was alone, it was indeed a deterrent. But now that 5 golden bells were gathered, it was no longer a deterrent but a killing blow. Soul power was activated and the golden bell vibrated again. Clang! The bell rang again and the golden ripple surged into the distance, taking the lives of dozens of Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators. Everyone was stunned. The golden bell's power was terrifying. It killed dozens of people in one go, not to mention one city's Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators. Even 10 cities Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators wouldn't be enough. Puff! At this moment, Zichen coughed up blood and his aura was clearly weak. There were pros and cons. Under the terrifying lethality, there was also a terrifying consumption. The disadvantage of his insufficient cultivation level was revealed. Chapter 49-46. The battle in front of them was the most tragic battle since the birth of the Trial Realm. Of course, it was also the largest battle. Through this battle, everyone clearly saw that life was like grass. They were all extremely shocked. It turned out that Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators could also die on a large scale. The 5 golden bells formed a formation in the sky. The formation diagram rotated and circulated a vast and terrifying aura. All the Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators who rushed in were all suppressed. Zichen's killing power was limitless. His body was covered in blood as he weaved through the crowd of Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators. He swung his bone staff countless times. Clang! The deafening sound of the bell rang. Some Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators were separated and lost their vitality. Their skeletons scattered on the ground. Zichen stabilized his body in the sky and coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Even if he constantly used his immortal power to recover, it was far from the huge consumption of energy on the battlefield. Everyone was shocked and regretful. If Zichen had inexhaustible energy, even the will of the immortal Slaughter City wouldn't be able to step over his body. Unfortunately, his cultivation level was too low. Although his combat power was tyrannical, he didn't have much energy to maintain it. Die. A Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator took advantage of Zichen coughing up blood and flashed to his side. He raised the long sword in his hand and was about to behead him. Poof! A stream of light flew from the side and pierced through the opponent's temple. It was the slaughter spirit. Zichen no longer had the energy to control it. After absorbing countless killing intent, it automatically took on the role of a guard. Every time Zichen was in danger, it would automatically appear and solve the problem for him. Every time it was consumed, it belonged to the spirit of slaughter. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the other side, 2 more people appeared. Their eyes were cold and full of killing intent. There were nearly 200 corpses on the ground under their feet. Zichen and the immortal Slaughter City had already started fighting. The formation diagram rotated in the sky and a light fell down, freezing the 2 people. Zichen's reaction was slightly slower. He turned around and waved his bone staff. Countless brilliance emerged from the bone staff and landed on the 2 people. In the next moment, they were sent flying. After landing on the ground, the 2 were no longer breathing. Light flickered beneath Zichen's feet as the thunder escape technique was displayed to the extreme, and he quickly disappeared from where he was standing. Dozens of attacks bombarded that area. For a moment, powerful energy shook violently. The people of Peace City did not interfere. They watched from afar. At this moment, looking at the invincible Zichen, the shock in their hearts was indescribable. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that a person could possess such terrifying combat strength. Jiang Jingzhe was also frightened. Everyone who died here was stronger than him in terms of combat power. When he thought about how he had challenged Zichen, he was still a little scared. Looking at the current situation, Zichen was definitely going to die, but he didn't dare to say anything more. What if he didn't die? Although this what if seemed to be very unlikely. Although I haven't been to the immortal spell world, I think that even in that world such battle prowess should be at the pinnacle. Black Dragon said in a deep voice. At this moment, looking at Zichen, who was covered in blood, he only had admiration in his heart. With such battle prowess, he could have been free and unfettered. However, for the sake of his own people, he resolutely walked on the opposite side of everyone. He protected an entire world by himself. The city lord nodded. This kid's battle prowess is extraordinary. Both of us are in the same realm. Even I don't have the confidence to defeat him. What a pity, what a pity. Many onlookers sighed inwardly. It was a pity that such an amazing powerhouse was going to die today. Once he was allowed to grow, wouldn't he become the #1 person in the trial grounds? The battle in front was still going on, or rather, the massacre was still going on. All the early stage heaven chosen from the immortal Slayer City rushed over. Some of them used weapons to attack from the periphery, while more rushed to the front to fight Zichin. The person who seemed to be the leader had a very ugly expression. This was because a mere Zichin had killed so many of their people. It almost caused the immortal Slayer City's early stage heaven chosen to enter a blank period. No one can stop our advance. The other person said in a deep voice, "Kill him, and you will be the new pioneers. A new immortal spell realm will be created by you yourselves. Kill!" Shouts shook the sky. A group of people on the periphery filled the gap. Zichin looked at these people. The robe on his body had already turned blood red. Some of it was his, but most of it was the enemy's. The jade-like bone staff was also dyed red by blood. His heart was beating violently. Every time it beat, a surge of power would enter his body. The battle could last until now. In addition to the immortal power, the power from the mysterious heart sea was also a great help. "Die!" Zichin shouted. His voice was a little hoarse. In the sky, the array diagram once again shone with a strong light. The distant sound of the bell followed, reaping more lives. However, Zichen's body was also shaking. The consumption was increasing. His vision gradually blurred. He was almost unable to stand. "Kill!" He rushed forward with the bone staff in his hand. After a brief clash of weapons, he retreated again. There were several wounds on his body. The slaughter spirit and the path sword floated beside him, one on the left and one on the right. Their luster had also become extremely dim. They could not fully protect Zichin. "I'll give you one more chance," the leader said coldly. "Retreat and live. Defend and die." Zichin gritted his teeth. "I won't retreat even if I die." The bell rang again. He rushed forward again. This time, when Zichin retreated, only 3 Heaven's Choice cultivators fell, and it was rare to see undamaged skin on his body. In an instant, at least 100 attacks landed on his body. Everyone was moved by this. This was a true guardian, a guardian who would not retreat even if he died. Perhaps we were wrong to come here. We should have been guardians of our own worlds. Alva muttered softly, recalling the past. Many people thought of their original worlds. They were once the peak existences of their own worlds, so they came to the trial realm. However, they all forgot that as the peak existences of their worlds, they should have taken on the responsibility of protecting their homeland. "Kill!" Zichen's voice became more and more hoarse, but he still charged forward. This time, he only killed 1 Heaven's Choice cultivator. He staggered back. With his back to the barrier, he faced the people of the world. He was covered in wounds. He could no longer hold on, but he did not fall. "Kill!" He charged forward again, cooperating with the golden bell. However, this time he did not kill a single person. In the sky, the golden bell's luster was no longer bright. Just like Zichin, the extreme consumption had damaged its foundation. The path sword and the slaughter spirit were also on the verge of collapse. Zichen's body swayed in the air like a candle about to burn out. "I'll give you one more chance. Retreat and live. Defend and die." The leader spoke again. This time he was following someone's will. "Even if I die, I won't retreat." Zichin gritted his teeth. He wanted to mobilize the last of his strength. "If you want to go over my dead body," it was already difficult for him to speak. Across from him, everyone was at their peak. This was a battle with a bounty. Zichin was destined to be the loser. He was destined to not be able to protect this world. Therefore, he would use his life to live and die with this world. He raised the bone staff and mobilized the last of his strength. Like a candle that was about to burn its last bit of life, he wanted to bring some light to this world. Friends, goodbye. Zichen was ready to launch the last attack of his life. Everyone was moved by this, and many of them even shed tears because of it. Suddenly, a ray of light appeared on Zichen's chest. Poof! A sound rang out between heaven and earth. Everyone saw a sword light pierce through Zichen's body from behind. Then, a wild laugh sounded through the barrier. Ha! Zichen, you didn't think this day would come, did you? A person came through the barrier and grinned at the stunned Zichen. It's me. You didn't expect this, did you? In the end, I'll be the one to end your life. Chapter 49-47. That person's laughter echoed between heaven and earth. He was very proud and excited. Meanwhile, the entire world fell into silence, including his opponents. Everyone was stunned. The barrier was one way. It could only block people from 2 cities from entering, but it could not stop people from coming out. Zichen had his back against the barrier alone, making the entire Immortal Slayer city his enemy. He was using his life to resist the will of the Immortal Slayer city. He was protecting the world behind the barrier. He was protecting everyone inside. During this period, the Immortal Slayer city gave him several chances to retreat and survive, but he rejected them all. He would protect that world even if he had to die. However, something ironic happened. A person walked out of the barrier and stabbed a weapon into the defenseless Zichen's body. Yes, it was ironic. Zichen was risking his life to protect that world, but he did not expect to lose his life at the hands of the world's protector. What are you doing? The Honorable King's laughter faded because he realized that something was wrong. When he turned around and saw that there were many people here, he could not help but be stunned. Who are you? Then he saw the corpses on the ground and the formation diagram in the sky. Everything here made him feel extremely pressured. However, he reacted quickly and said loudly, "You want to kill Zichen, right? Look, I'll kill him for you." He took a few steps forward and said with his head held high, "I'm the Honorable King, your future king." Then he turned around and looked at Zichen. He looked down at him and said, "Do you feel regretful? Do you feel regretful? Unfortunately, everything is over. Your era is a thing of the past. From now on, I will replace you." Zichen looked at the Honorable King as the last trace of his life force dissipated. Whoosh! The slaughter spirit turned into a ray of light and entered the Tao sword. Then, the light on the surface of the Tao sword disappeared and fell to the ground with Zichen. Zichen smashed into many corpses. He still held the bone staff tightly in his hand, and the Tao sword fell to the side. Buzz! In the sky, the divine pattern diagram, formed by the 5 great golden bells, also dissipated. Then, the luster of the 5 great golden bells also disappeared and fell from the sky. The people who were still stunned reacted and turned into rays of light and moved forward. One of the rays of light dived toward the ground. Puff! One of them reacted quickly and grabbed the bone club in Zichen's hand. He had seen the might of the bone club with his own eyes, but Zichen had held on tightly to it and refused to let go even if he died. As a result, his arm was chopped off. Then, with the blood-stained bone staff in his hand, he shattered Zichen's severed arm. The Tao sword beside him was also taken away by another person. Tyrannical auras surged. A battle was about to break out. The honored king's arrogant expression had long disappeared. At this moment, he felt like a small beast that had rashly walked into a group of giant dragons. The surrounding auras made him feel suffocated and terrified. Fate makes fools of people. Black Dragon sighed regretfully. It was no surprise that Zichen was dead. because it was impossible for him to go against the will of a city. However, he didn't die at the hands of the enemy. Instead, he died at the hands of the people who risked their lives to protect the world. It seems that this is the will of the heavens. The city lord looked up at the sky. The disappearance of the immortal spell realm and the establishment of a new immortal spell realm is inevitable. At this moment, the front line was in chaos. After Zi Chen's death, the good things on his body became the target of everyone's competition. At the same time, those who were killed by Zi Chen also had some good things on them that were being fought over. The leader of the men walked forward, bypassing the battlefield, and came to the honored king. The honored king was still in a daze. He only woke up when the man slapped him. "You're from inside?" the man asked. The honored king immediately nodded. "You're familiar with the inside?" "Yes." "What's your name?" "Honored king." "All right, I'll call you Dog King from now on. Now lead the way. We'll enter this trial realm first before invading the Saint Spirit realm." Hearing the man's words, the honored king was completely dumbfounded. A loud boom sounded. The barrier that Zi Chen used his life to protect was shattered. Then, the army of Immortal Slaughter City passed through the barrier and entered the trial realm of the Saint Spirit realm. At the front, the honored king, who used to be the most respected person in the Saint Spirit realm, now called Dog King, led the way for everyone. He nodded and bowed as if he was really a dog. He killed the first person he saw and searched his soul for the coordinates of the Saint Spirit realm. The people of Immortal Slaughter City went to the trial realm of the Saint Spirit realm, while the people of Peace City stayed here. Alva and the others flew forward quickly. However, when they got close, they could no longer see Zi Chen's body. The ground was covered with broken limbs. They didn't know which ones belonged to Zi Chen. In the previous battle, all kinds of energy surged, causing many people to lose their complete bodies. They looked at the broken corpses on the ground in silence. Zi Chen had risen like a comet, but he had fallen so quickly. That scourge is finally dead. Jiang Jingzhe walked closer and chuckled. He didn't have to worry anymore. He was in a good mood. They turned around and glared at him coldly. "What? Did I say something wrong?" Jiang Jingzhe said, "Isn't he a scourge? Look at the corpses on the ground. He killed so many people that even his own people couldn't stand it anymore. They stabbed him from behind." If Big Beard and the others hadn't stopped them, Alva would have killed that insignificant ant. Zi Chen was so strong. It was humiliating that he died at the hands of such a nobody. What a pity. They're all broken limbs. Which one of them is Zi Chen's? Jiang Jingzhe said with a smile. "Why don't you piece them together? Maybe you can get a complete body." "Oh, I think the arms are gone. I noticed that they were shattered by someone." With that, Jiang Jingzhe walked away smugly. The invasion of the Immortal Slayer City was naturally a world-ending disaster for the trial grounds of the Saint Spirit domain. In an unknown space, there was a meeting going on. Balak looked at Seuss and said unhappily, "Since you're here, why did you start a massacre?" "As an invader, how can I not kill?" Seuss said with a smile. "Besides, look at how many of our people Zi Chen killed. This is called giving and receiving and returning what is borrowed. Also, if I can't control the lives of others, do you think so many people will follow me to build the new immortal spell realm?" "I told you, the immortal spell realm hasn't disappeared." Balak said, "He'll appear one day." "Then you can wait. I'm going to unify the realms." Seuss smiled. "Seuss, have you forgotten about the divine fate stone?" Balak looked at him. "Every time the heavenly Tao falls and the order of the world is in chaos, the divine fate stone will appear to guide the world and stabilize the order. The divine fate stone is only a legend. Even the immortal spell realm is gone. Even if the divine fate stone appears, it's useless." Seuss smiled disdainfully and disappeared from the space. Helen's team had been searching for Zi Chen's body, but they couldn't find it. They pieced together many corpses, but they couldn't find Zi Chen's. Chapter 49-48. The number one person in the alternate world, Wang Go, the ruler of the alternate world, had officially changed his name to Wang Go. He led the invaders from the immortal Slaughter City into the trial grounds of the Saint Spirit Realm. They killed every devil they saw and left their souls behind to find the exact coordinates of the Saint Spirit Realm. Wang Go was trembling in fear, because every one of them had a profound cultivation base. Just the aura emitted from them made him feel incomparably terrified. He couldn't help but recall the scene when he killed Ziqin. He saw many corpses on the ground. Were those people as strong as the ones in front of him? Ziqin had killed so many of them. How strong was he? The leader of the immortal Slaughter City, who had been giving orders all along, waved his hand and said, "Go! Kill to your heart's content. Remember to bring back the souls." Everyone dispersed and flew in all directions. They were going to carry out a great purge and massacre in this place. Wang Go, you've made a great contribution. After we create a new world, we won't forget your contribution. The leader looked at Wang Go. "Thank you, my lord." Wang Go cupped his fists and thanked him repeatedly. Then Wang Go said, "My lord, I saw that Ziqin had killed many people. Although he's dead, I feel wronged for those who died. Ziqin just so happens to have friends here. I can bring some people over and kill Ziqin's friends as well. It can be considered as Sir taking revenge for this subordinate." "All right," the leader nodded. "With someone like you, there's no need to worry about finding the Saint Spirit Realm. Asterisk, 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 Alba," and the others couldn't find Ziqin's body. They searched for a long time, but still couldn't find it. After Ziqin's life disappeared, the Black Stone appeared and brought Ziqin into an independent space. After being hit by countless energy waves, Ziqin's body was incomplete. Fortunately, the important parts were still there. There was a dazzling light in his body. That was the light from his heart. Thump! The heart that was sealed that day was rejuvenated. It appeared from Ziqin's body and slowly floated in the air. Every time it beat, the space would tremble. Right now it was still in a sealed state. The Black Stone floated above the heart and shone down rays of light. The seal on the surface of the heart was disappearing. Dong! His heart began to beat violently, and an even more terrifying aura surged out. Like the birth of a peerless calamity, the entire space was distorting. Whoa! The Black Stone trembled. Ripples surged out, forcefully suppressing the beating heart. In the next moment, the completely unsealed heart entered Ziqin's body. This time, not only did it enter Ziqin's sea of consciousness, but it also completely merged with his heart. The surging life force contained in his heart was immediately released. Ziqin's injuries began to heal, and his severed arm began to grow back. Very quickly, Ziqin's body became whole again. His heart was still beating fiercely, and every time it beat, a powerful force would be transmitted through his blood to every part of his body, where it would be absorbed by his body. Every moment, his body was changing. Golden light flashed. Ziqin's body was sparkling and translucent. It was like a treasure body, quietly floating in this space. The Black Stone was still in the sky. Rays of energy descended, suppressing the heart. Otherwise, Ziqin's body wouldn't be able to withstand this force and would collapse in an instant. Under the suppression of the Black Stone, the force of the heart continued to circulate. However, although Ziqin's body was full of vitality, he didn't wake up. He was like a living dead, without the slightest consciousness. Dong! His heart was beating violently, and Ziqin's chest was also moving up and down. Golden light flashed. His physical body was going through a new tempering, becoming stronger and more tyrannical. In the continuous circulation, Ziqin's physical body transformed again and again. Finally, it could withstand the force of the heart, and the Black Stone stopped suppressing it. After that, the black stone turned into a ray of light and entered Zi-Chen's sea of consciousness. Then, a ray of soul light was released from the black stone. This ray of soul light was Zi-Chen's original soul. It was unknown when it entered the black stone. Now that it entered the sea of consciousness again, it immediately merged with his body. Zi-Chen's consciousness returned. His eyelids trembled, and he opened his eyes. His eyes were blank, and he looked around blankly. After a long time, his eyes gradually regained their luster. "I'm still alive?" His last consciousness was still on the battlefield. He was already an arrow at the end of its flight, and he didn't expect to encounter a sneak attack. Moreover, it was a sneak attack from behind. Zi-Chen clearly didn't understand the current situation. He should be dead, so why was he still alive? He wanted to move his body, but he found it extremely difficult. Then he began to look inside himself, and found that the black stone was floating in his sea of consciousness. Almost in an instant, Zi-Chen guessed that the black stone had saved him. He was still very weak at the moment because he only had a wisp of soul. However, he felt that his body was full of strength. This feeling of disharmony came from his physical body and soul. At the same time, there are strands of pure soul power hanging from the black stone, strengthening Zi-Chen's soul. The abnormality in his sea of consciousness made Zi-Chen apprehensive, but after looking inside his physical body, Zi-Chen was even more shocked. Every part of his body was filled with powerful strength. The degree of strength of his physical body was something he had never seen before in his life. However, what shocked him more was the core of his strength. His heart. This was the source of his strength. Every time it beat, it would transmit powerful strength to all parts of his body. This is the sealed heart. Has the seal been broken? Zi-Chen's heart had been pierced by the honorable king, and his heart didn't have such powerful strength. In this situation, it could only be the sealed heart. It seemed that it had fused into one. Right now, this power entered his body through his blood, causing his body to feel sluggish and bloated. Zi-Chen closed his eyes and adjusted his emotions. Now that his physical body was filled with powerful strength, this strength needed to be guided. If this continued, there would be problems with his body. The cultivation method of the immortal golden body happened to be able to guide this strength. As the cultivation method was activated, the strength from the heart was mobilized, forming a cycle in his body in an orderly manner and circulating in his body. A powerful aura was released from his body. Sensing this aura, Zi-Chen's expression changed instantly. This was because his already terrifying physical body became even more terrifying now. This gave Zi-Chen an illusion that no matter how powerful a weapon was in front of him, it was just a matter of a punch. As he familiarized himself with his strength, he gradually could control his body and stood up. He clenched his fist, and there was an explosive sound coming from his fingertips. Boundless golden light surged out from his body. At this moment, Zi-Chen was like a war god in golden armor. Zi-Chen only had one feeling at this moment, and that was power. He had not broken through his realm yet, but the strength of his physical body had reached an extremely terrifying level. Zi-Chen guessed that he should have reached the heaven-chosen realm. He looked at this independent space and punched out. Boom! Chapter 49-49. Damn it, where did all of them go? Wang Go led several experts and walked around the trial grounds, looking for Meow Meow and the rest. However, they couldn't find them even after searching for a long time. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. Wang Go's expression was ugly. He wanted to kill all of Zi-Chen's people, but he didn't even see a single one of them. He couldn't accept it. After searching for a long time, he still couldn't find anything. On the other side, the immortal Slaughter City had refined many souls after killing many devils. These souls were sent to Seuss. Seuss used his great magic power to find the coordinates of the Saint Spirit realm. This was a method that only the supervisors could use. Even if ordinary people had extraordinary means, they couldn't find the coordinates of the Saint Spirit realm. The two old men wanted to stop him, but because Ziqin couldn't resist the will of the immortal Slaughter City and died, everyone believed that it was the will of the heavens, so they changed sides. Even the people from Peace City had come here. However, compared to the people of the immortal Slaughter City, they were more restrained and didn't do those terrible things. All of the immortal Slaughter City's army gathered outside a space where a barrier appeared. This was the barrier to the Saint Spirit realm. Seuss wasn't there. He was the supervisor, the person behind the scenes. He stood in the space and looked down quietly. There were many supervisors here. In fact, they had overstepped their duty and broken the rules by coming here. However, the immortal spell realm might have disappeared. They all had their own will and no longer followed the rules of the immortal spell realm. Seuss smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, the Saint Spirit realm is inside. Once we break through it, we'll have taken the first step to connect to the myriad worlds." Outside the barrier, the existences from the immortal Slaughter City joined forces and attacked the barrier. Their realm was very high and their combat power was impressive. It wasn't difficult to break through the barrier. The man in the lead even attacked personally. After 3 full-strength attacks, the space barrier was broken with a loud bang. A brand new and huge world appeared in everyone's sight. "Let's go inside and have a look." The man in the lead laughed and stepped into the huge world. Here, everyone felt that the pressure was lighter, and there were many planets in their sight. This was indeed the Saint Spirit world. On this day, everyone living in the Saint Spirit world felt the arrival of a terrifying aura. This time, the shock it brought to the Saint Spirit world was far greater than the arrival of the demon clan, because the powerhouses that appeared could easily kill an abyss demon, and they were like real demons committing all kinds of crimes. The real calamity had arrived. Shwa, shwa, shwa. With a flash of light, Meow Meow and the others appeared in the Tianwu world. Sensing that this world had not yet been destroyed, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. In the various cities, everyone was in a state of panic. That terrifying aura was clearly felt by everyone. It was like the end of the world. Meow Meow immediately issued an order. From now on, Tianwu world is to be permanently sealed and never appear again. She held a beam of light in her hand. This beam of light was completely composed of rules. It was not the rules of the Saint Spirit realm, but a higher level of rules. It even surpassed the rules of the Trial realm. On the surface of the planet where the Tianwu world was located, the light disappeared in an instant. The entire planet seemed to have experienced vicissitudes of life in an instant, passing through thousands of years and finally heading towards death. In the end, a layer of hard shell appeared on the surface of this world. It was like an ancient layer of stone that protected this world. When Wang Go heard the news and rushed over, this world had completely fallen into self-sealing. From afar, it looked like a dilapidated sphere with potholes on its surface. "We're late. This is Zichen's world." "It's now sealed," Wang Go said in exasperation. "It's just a world. I'll break it." A Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator sneered, took a step forward, and slashed forward with 2 fingers. Chi! Under his finger, the entire space was split into 2. However, the sealed world was still intact. The Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator's expression changed. "Why is it like this?" Compared to the Trial Realm, this place was of a lower grade. When these Heaven's Choice Realm cultivators came here, their combat strength would increase infinitely, like the masters of the world. He could even split space, but he could not break open a sealed world. Again, the Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator was unwilling to give up. A long sword immediately appeared in his hand, and he slashed down. Buzz! The sword light flashed, and space was completely torn apart. But Zichen's world still existed. "Don't try, it's useless." At this moment, the person next to him spoke. It should be someone who did something. The other party reacted and muttered, "Aren't we not allowed to interfere in these things?" But then he stopped trying and turned to leave. "Lords, you're leaving just like that?" Wongo looked at them. "Humph." The person who attacked glanced at Wongo and said, "It wasn't easy to get here. If we don't burn and loot, are we going to stare at an unbreakable rock in a daze?" The world in front of them was like a huge rock. Wongo said again, "We agreed before that after you leave, this world will belong to me." "Of course, but the premise is that this world still exists." The other party's figure went far away. Wongo was dumbfounded. What did this mean? Were they going to destroy this place? The entire Saint Spirit world was ushering in the biggest disaster. The people from the immortal Slaughter City came here with cruel, murderous intent, exterminating one life after another. They stayed in the trial grounds for a long time. There were very few people there, no other entertainment, and even wine was tasteless. But it was different here. There were too many people. Men, women, and all kinds of interesting and fun things. Coming here was like walking from hell to heaven, a heaven without any restrictions. Here, their combat power was unparalleled, and they could do whatever they wanted. Seuss and the rest had also entered the Saint Spirit world. However, as the overseers, they did not stop their actions. Instead, they allowed them to vent as they silently watched the life drain away. They were not in a hurry to look for worlds outside the Saint Spirit world. Instead, they stopped here and waited for these people to relax. As for what would become of this world in the future, Seuss did not care at all. The other monitors did not care either. Since they had opened the path, there would be countless worlds like the Saint Spirit world waiting for them to explore. This place could be destroyed at will. They did not care. Yes, many people did not care. The invaders did not care whether this world was destroyed or not, or whether all the living beings were dead or alive. But eventually someone cared. That person was Zichin. Chapter 4950. With a punch, Zichin appeared in the trial realm. There was no one here. The ground had been cleaned, leaving only some dried bloodstains. It was the place where the battle had taken place. He turned around. The barrier that he had been guarding had disappeared, proving that those people had entered their trial realm. Not knowing how the situation was, Zichin gave up the idea of returning to Peace City and turned back. In the trial realm, he had many friends. In the Saint Spirit realm, he had a world. According to the grievances between him and the people of the immortal Slayer City, once they entered that place, they would certainly not let his friends go. As he moved forward, there was still power surging in his heart. Every step he took was equivalent to cultivation. When he returned to this place and looked at the familiar area, he did not see a single person. The soul he released did not find anything either. Without the token, he could not go to the exchange space. At this moment, the black stone was still floating in his sea of consciousness and releasing soul power. The soul power was extremely pure, tempering and strengthening his soul over and over again. He still had the power of the immortal golden body. However, Zichin now had the power of his heart, so he did not need to refine it. Zichin could not find a single person, nor could he ask about the situation of the people of the immortal Slayer City. In this huge world, he walked aimlessly. His mood was getting heavier and heavier, and the bad feeling in his heart was getting stronger. Until now, he had not seen a single person. Could it be that everyone had been killed? At this moment, a ray of light descended from the sky and landed in front of Zichin. It was Black Lake, who was wearing a black robe. When he was a storyteller, he mainly made up stories about Zichin to survive. "It's really you." Black Lake's eyes widened as he stared at Zichin in disbelief. "It's me, Senior. What's going on here? Where did everyone go?" When Zichin saw Black Lake, he became excited. Black Lake did not answer Zichin's question. He looked up and down at Zichin, looking even more excited. "How did you survive?" Looking at the old man's excited look, Zichin could only say, I'm not too sure. Maybe a black stone saved me. Zichen had no secrets to hide from the two old men in black and white. The two of them were wholeheartedly devoted to the Saint Spirit world. Although they were only supervisors, they had never done anything that would harm the Saint Spirit world. Heavenly Fate Stone. It must be the Heavenly Fate Stone. Blacklake looked up at the sky with an excited expression. The Heaven's Fate Stone really does exist. Every time the heavenly Tao falls and the world loses its order, it will appear and show the world the correct path. Zichen nodded. He also realized that ever since he accidentally picked up the black stone, every step that followed seemed to have been deliberately planned by someone. Furthermore, the black stone had helped him resolve numerous crises, allowing him to slowly become stronger. Wrong, they are all wrong. The immortal spell realm still exists, because the heavenly fate stone fell into the mortal realm. Blacklake informed Zichen of the latest developments. When he learned that the immortal Slaughter City had invaded the Saint Spirit domain, Zichen immediately panicked. Your world has already been sealed. No one can break it, unless a monitor acts without regard for the rules. Blacklake sighed and said, Unfortunately, the other worlds are not so lucky. The current Saint Spirit domain has already been plunged into misery and suffering. Where's the way back? Zichen's expression immediately turned cold. Boundless killing intent surged around him. In the entire Saint Spirit domain, he was the only one who could stop the invaders. Therefore, he had to go back. Blacklake pointed the way for Zichen. At the same time, he informed Blacklake that they had already returned to the Saint Spirit domain. As for him, he had to continue guarding this place, even if it had lost the meaning of the trial. Zichen cupped his fists at Blacklake and left. When he returned to the Saint Spirit domain, he saw that there were obviously fewer worlds. One had to know that in every world there were countless lives. The disappearance of the world meant that these lives were also gone. This is the wine you found. Cece sat on the main seat and glanced at the trembling crowd below. Are my orders useless? There was a hint of coldness in Cece's eyes. He saw the middle-aged man at the front explode with a loud bang. Without any warning, a Saint Venerable died just like that. Patriarch, the others exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with grief. As for the emotions of hatred, they did not dare to have any. This existence was even more terrifying than a demon. As soon as he arrived, he killed a demon-level ancestor with a slap. Nearly half of the disciples who resisted died. The difference in combat strength between the two sides was too great. From the beginning to the end, he only needed to look at them and kill them on the spot. Smack! The exquisite wine jug that was like glass fell heavily to the ground. The wine spilled and glass shards shot in all directions. A nearby young man subconsciously took a step back. On the main seat, a cold light flashed in Cece's eyes. The disciple's body also exploded. You still dare to dodge? Don't you know that this is a supreme honor for you? The other party's gaze swept around. Wretches, all of you are wretches. You are the same as Zichen. If he had cooperated back then, our losses would not have been so great. Now, all the brothers who drank with me back then have been killed. I am the only one left. Even if I show off, no one will listen. A hint of loneliness appeared in Cece's eyes. Although Zichen is dead, this is the place where he lived, so you all deserve to die. Didn't he risk his life to protect you all? Haha. Then I will kill you all one by one. First, I will kill people, then destroy the world. One day, I will kill all of you. Cece laughed sinisterly. There was a hint of madness in his eyes. Speaking of which, Zichen's death is really regrettable. Otherwise, I would have let him see with his own eyes how I torture the people he wanted to protect. I heard that his world was sealed. What a pity. Otherwise, I would have made the people he cared about suffer a fate worse than death. The crowd stood there, not daring to even breathe loudly. They were all like wooden blocks. Now go and find me wine. Find some decent wine, or I will exterminate your entire clan. Also, find me 10 beauties, no, 20 beauties. All of you wretches here will be played to death. Cece laughed loudly. His laughter penetrated the main hall and spread throughout the city. In the city, everyone was trembling. When the other party arrived, they had already sealed the place. No one could enter or leave. No matter how bad the wine here is, it is still better than the piss wine in the immortal Slaughter City, right? You might not even be able to drink piss in the immortal Slaughter City. What's there to be picky about here? An indifferent voice suddenly sounded. As for the people here, I think each of them is more honorable than you. Who is it? Cece was furious when he heard the voice. How dare you boast shamelessly here? Get out here. A ray of light appeared at the entrance of the main hall. A person walked in. Chapter 49:51. Seeing the person who walked in from the entrance of the hall, not only was Cece stunned, but the others' faces also changed. Of course, they knew that person. He was a legend of the Saint Spirit realm. However, after these people invaded, they learned that this legend had died in the trial realm. It was said that he had resisted the will of an entire city by himself until his death. Now he had appeared once again. Are you a ghost? Cece shouted loudly. I saw you die with my own eyes. Cece couldn't believe that Zi-chan was still alive. Not only was Zi-chan dead, but his treasures had also been stolen. Even his corpse was no longer whole. I know. You must be someone else in disguise to scare me, right? Cece laughed maniacally. Let me tell you, I can't be scared. The others' expressions were very excited. They didn't suspect that Zi-chan was a fake at all. This was because this legend's life was too exciting, and he had created countless miracles. There was no doubt that this time was also a miracle. Therefore, they firmly believed that Zi-chan was Zi-chan. Even if you came in, you shouldn't have run amok. Zi-chan looked at the crazed Cece. Because of this, I no longer care. Today, I will start with you and kill the last intruder. Hearing the coldness in Zi-chan's words, Cece couldn't laugh anymore. He knew that it was really Zi-chan. Although he didn't know how the other party had come back to life, he really did. Boom! With a loud bang, he broke through the hall, wanting to escape. You think you can run? A cold voice sounded in Cece's ears. Zi-chan was already standing in front of him. It's you, it's really you. Sensing Zi-chan's aura in the middle level of the trial, Cece no longer doubted his identity. His previous nervous expression also relaxed. You're just in the middle level of the trial. Why should I run? Right now, he was sizing up Zi-chan once again. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent, and he was no longer afraid. Your treasures have already been divided. Right now, you're just in the middle stage of the trial. I'm not planning to run away. I want to show everyone how I'm going to kill you in front of everyone. Cece reacted quickly. He remembered that Zi-chan's treasures were long gone. Since he was in the Heaven's Choice realm, why should he be afraid of someone in the middle level of the trial? Right now, everyone in the city was looking up at the sky. Their eyes were filled with undisguised surprise. Because Zi-chan was here, they might be saved. Cece snorted. Open your eyes. Today, I'm going to kill the legend in your eyes. I'm going to trample him under my feet and make him be despised by tens of thousands. Didn't you all place your hopes, legend? Very well. Today, I'll extinguish your hopes. As soon as he finished speaking, he took the initiative to charge at Zi-chan. Since coming here, he had only made a move once. With a single slap, he had slapped the strongest abyss demon to death. This was the second time he had made a move. It was still a single slap, but it was much stronger than before. He didn't dare underestimate Zi-chan. He was going all out. In the face of his opponent's arrival, Zi-chan stood in place. Golden light flickered around his body as he smashed his fist down like a heavy hammer. Everyone in the city was so nervous that they held their breaths. Zi-Chen's victory or defeat was directly related to their survival. Dong! As if a heavy hammer had struck the sky, an infinite amount of golden light exploded in the sky. The powerful shockwave caused the space to shatter. Zi-Chen was still standing there, his body glowing with golden light like a god in golden armor. Cece, on the other hand, was sent flying with a cry of surprise. In the next moment, Cece, who had turned into a ray of light, shot straight into the sky. This time, he was really going to run. In just one exchange, he had sensed Zi-Chen's strength. Dong! Zi-Chen's figure flickered and appeared above Cece. He struck out with his fist again. The sky shook as Cece crashed to the ground like a boulder. Boom! A human-shaped crater appeared on the ground, and the previous hull shook and collapsed. Zi-Chen stood in the air, his expression gradually becoming cold. The others in the city let out a sigh of relief. It was still him, the powerful and invincible Zi-Chen. You can run. Zi-Chen's eyes flashed with a cold light. Then his figure descended and stomped on the ground. The blue stone, paved on the ground, exploded. Cece's body was sent flying again, coughing up blood. At this moment, his face was filled with shock. Whoosh! Zi-Chen's figure flickered, and he appeared beside Cece and grabbed his neck. Cece's chosen one's power surged as he tried to break free, but it was useless. Zi-Chen had used the power of the immortal body. After the baptism of the mysterious heart, he was no longer the same as before. I was wrong. Let me go. Cece's face was red, and his eyes were filled with fear. If I let you go, how can I explain to this world and to those innocent people who died? Zi-Chen's eyes were extremely cold. I can work like a horse for you. Cece only wanted to live because he had seen too much death. He did not want to die here. You are not worthy. Killing intent flashed in Zi-Chen's eyes. A ray of light flew from his fingertips and swept across Cece's neck. Poof! Cece's body fell to the ground, his head still floating in the air. Death alone is not enough. I will leave you with a trace of consciousness so that you can repent in pain. With that, a golden light appeared from Zi-Chen's body and pierced through Cece's head like a real thread. The golden light did not disappear. It still pierced through Cece's head like a long rope and dragged him into the distance. Zi-Chen had already left, taking Cece's head with him. A moment later, the city erupted in cheers. In the void, Zi-Chen was in front and the golden light was behind him. Cece still had a trace of consciousness left. He guessed what Zi-Chen was about to do, and his remaining consciousness became even more terrified. Zi-Chen arrived in the second world and killed the second invader with just 2 punches. A second head appeared on the golden light. Then a third, a fourth, a fifth. The number of heads strung together by the golden light increased. From afar, it looked like the candied haws of the mortal world. Zi-Chen was like a god of death. He walked through each world, not saying a word, only taking away heads. Finally, one day, Zi-Chen arrived in another world and sensed a familiar aura. It was the aura of the spirit of slaughter. He moved his mind. At a table, 5 invaders were gathered together. Beside them stood a dozen half-naked beautiful women serving them. One of them held a path sword and smiled. You don't know how hard it was to get it. Fortunately, it did not disappoint me. Now, I have the confidence to fight against a heaven's chosen state, and I will be invincible in the same realm. The people beside him immediately cheered. At this moment, the path sword suddenly shook and a misty ripple spread out. The next moment, the path sword flashed past the crowd like lightning and flew into the sky. Chapter 4952. Zi-Chen stood outside the world as the path sword turned into a stream of light and flew towards him. When it came close, the slaughter spirit appeared on its own. The soul power contained in the Path sword had long been obliterated. It had actually changed owners. The reason why it was still under Zi Chen's control was because of Zi Chen's slaughter spirit. That was his own. The connection between the two would never be obliterated. The slaughter spirit emitted a cheerful mood. With the Path sword, Zi Chen had a great help. As for the bone staff and the 5 golden bells, he didn't know where they were at the moment, nor could he sense them. Those heads flew out of the world and were pierced by the golden light. They were strung behind him and swayed. It was an extremely horrifying sight. Zi Chen continued to move forward. There was only slaughter along the way. The saint spirit realm was very big, but it was also very small compared to the many trial realms and heaven's choice realm cultivators. That was because one's strength was not suppressed by the rules here. Therefore, one could use teleportation and travel between heaven and earth with just a thought. The news of Zi Chen's return spread out immediately. Those who were fast ran away in advance, while those who were slow became strung behind him. Zi Chen was still alive, which caused a violent shock in the 2 cities. Everyone felt that it was unbelievable. After all, they had seen Zi Chen being killed with their own eyes. Even his corpse was incomplete. The 2 sides met for the first time in a real sense. In the void, the people of the immortal Slaughter City formed a large scale, and further away, the people of the Peace City. They saw Zi Chen walking forward from afar. The strong heads behind him on the golden light gave them a great shock. Before he arrived, boundless grief and resentment could be felt. These were left behind by the heads. They were not completely dead and still retained a trace of consciousness. They were in between life and death. Exclamations sounded one after another. Everyone was shocked. Looking at Zi Chen's monstrous killing intent, everyone believed that he had come back to life to take revenge. Zi Chen, you're too presumptuous. A Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator saw a familiar head. His eyes immediately turned red as he berated angrily. The other existences from the immortal Slaughter City also had monstrous killing intent. Invaders, kill them all on sight. As soon as Zi Chen finished speaking, his figure suddenly disappeared. The next moment he appeared in front of the intruder, raising his fist and smashing it down. Golden light flashed, and an unparalleled force appeared, creating a terrifying pressure. Boom! The golden light completely exploded, and the chest of this Heaven's Choice Realm cultivator was smashed into pieces. The terrifying power instantly entered the opponent's soul and destroyed it, leaving behind only the last trace of consciousness. The golden light that was trailing behind slowly arrived, and with a poof, passed through the head that was deliberately left behind. Another one was added. Such a scene caused everyone to be greatly alarmed. Zi Chen was once again standing against everyone, just like the last time he was alone, and he was still at the same cultivation level as before. In fact, compared to the last time, he was even missing 2 supreme treasures. But this time, no one dared to guarantee that they would be able to suppress Zi Chen. Facing Zi Chen's murderous gaze, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. You came to my hometown and acted recklessly, killing the innocent. Today, none of you can leave. Zi Chen looked at the densely packed crowd of people from the immortal Slaughter City in front of him, and his tone was full of cold, killing intent. Zi Chen, you've gone too far. Not everyone comes here to kill the innocent. Another trial realm cultivator walked out and scolded angrily. You should at least investigate clearly how many people died in vain. Zi Chen's lips suddenly curled into a smile, but this smile was indeed incomparably evil in the eyes of everyone. Too many people in my hometown have died in vain. This time, even if I slaughter all of you, it can't compare to their lives. Monstrous killing intent rolled around his body. You can kill the innocent, why can't I? Swish! Like a golden meteorite, he dashed forward in a straight line, facing the dense crowd of people from the immortal Slaughter City. He was alone, without a golden bell or a bone stick, only a fist. The boundless aura surged again, and Zichen punched out. Immortal punch! The void suddenly lit up like a golden sun and exploded in front of him. Many people screamed and flew backward. This time, some people died miserably and some were seriously injured. In the face of such a battle, Zichen could no longer control his strength accurately. Boom! Golden light kept exploding. Zichen's attack was omnidirectional, and as expected, he didn't intend to let anyone go. When the people from Peace City in the distance saw this, they quietly retreated. The people of Peace City didn't advocate peace like the people of Peace City, so there were many people who came in and did things like invading. Now that Zichen was going on a killing spree and didn't intend to let anyone go, perhaps even the name of Peace City couldn't protect them. Kill! Zichen's killing intent was monstrous. He didn't care about his own consumption at all. His fist landed again, and several people's bodies exploded. Zichen, you've gone too far. We killed you that day, and we can still kill you today. Someone in the crowd shouted, but his voice was changing, making it impossible to determine his exact direction. Then don't waste words. Come and kill me. Zichen was like a bolt of lightning. He rushed in front of a Heaven's Choice expert and grabbed his neck. A moment later, a powerful vibration separated his head from his body. The current Zichen was like a god of slaughter. Behind him, several people appeared and launched a sneak attack on Zichen. Buzz! The Tao sword and the slaughter spirit appeared at the same time, one on the left and one on the right as they attacked the enemies behind him. At present, Zichen was at his peak and possessed terrifying battle prowess. Thus, it was very easy for him to reap the lives of these people. After killing these people, the others retreated far away and used long-range attacks to increase the distance between them and Zichen. They could already see that Zichen was too powerful. Although his cultivation hadn't increased, his killing power had become terrifying. Zichen gazed at these people from afar. Not only did the killing intent in his eyes not decrease, it even surged to the heavens. PFFF, 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 PFFF. The golden light shot up and pierced through those heads. I said, none of you will live. As Zichen spoke, the Tao sword and the slaughter spirit flew out, one on the left and one on the right. They swept directly into the crowd. Everyone was terrified and hurriedly dodged. The two rays of light didn't slow down. They passed through the crowd and attacked behind them. There were many cultivators below the Heaven's Choice realm. Their cultivation levels were lower, so their battle prowess was naturally lower. Pooh! 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 The Tao sword swept past, piercing through one person after another. Even as they died, their eyes were still wide open. They never imagined that Zichen would kill them. The slaughter spirit's killing methods were also extremely brilliant. In another place, it was reaping the lives of these people. At this moment, Zichen very well executed a killing intent that no one would have expected. Thus, a shocking scene unfolded. Zichen was facing off against a group of people by himself. While everyone retreated in panic, Zichen advanced and reaped life after life. Impudent! Chapter 4953. The Tao sword and slaughter spirit, one on the left and one on the right, slaughtered their way through the crowd. Zichen had broadened his target, not limiting himself to those in the Heaven's chosen realm. He killed everyone he saw, not letting a single one go. The people from Peace City in the distance were shocked. They retreated once more, worried that they would be caught in the crossfire. Clang! With a resounding clang, the Tao sword was blocked and turned into a stream of light. A person flew in from the distance and landed in front of Zichen. Zichen, you broke the rules. Rules? Zichen looked at the newcomer. According to the previous agreement, you can only attack those in the Heaven's chosen realm and not those in the other realms. The other person coldly said, This is also why we had the ability to kill you, but allowed you to go on a killing spree. Zi-chun smiled, but his smile was particularly cold. You killed your way into my home, and now you want to talk about rules with me? How many worlds have been destroyed since you entered? How many innocent people have died? They are just ordinary people. How can they be compared to us? Which one of them isn't a ruler? The other person was dissatisfied. You compare these rulers to ordinary people. Do you think they are the same? How can they compare to our trial and heaven's chosen realm? Good, very good. Zi-chen's eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. If this is your reasoning, then I will obey. 1. The Tao sword and slaughter spirit flew out once more and attacked the crowd, specifically targeting those weaker existences. What are you doing? The other person loudly shouted. Zi-chen indifferently replied, In my eyes, they are just ordinary people, so I will kill them if I want to. Moreover, I don't plan on letting any of them go. You are courting death. The other person's eyes flashed with cold light. You really think I don't dare to attack? The other person was a heaven's chosen realm, an entire realm higher than Zi-chen, who was in the middle realm of the trial. If you have the ability, then come. Zi-chen's killing intent surged. In any case, my goal is to kill everyone. I don't care if you die. Pooh, pooh. The Tao sword and the slaughter spirit took away a few more lives. The heads of the beings he had killed earlier all flew over and were pierced through by the golden light behind Zi-chen. Looking from afar, it was extremely shocking. Arrogant, the other party snorted coldly and punched out. Instantly, the entire void began to distort. In the two cities, the heaven's chosen state was definitely an amazing existence. A blinding light appeared in the void as a terrifying aura surged out. Even though they were very far away, their expressions changed drastically when they sensed this aura. Zi-chen took a step forward. Immortal power surged out, and an aura that was not weaker than the other party swept out like a wave. Zi-chen's counterattack was also a punch. Immortal fist. Boom! The two fists collided and exploded. The powerful force vibrated in the air and turned into ripples that spread into the distance. How is this possible? He is actually on par with a heaven's chosen state cultivator. Exclamations came from the crowd. Everyone was shocked. Shua! Zi-chen passed through the vibrating energy and rushed toward the heaven's chosen state cultivator. Even though he knew that the other party was a major realm higher than him, he was not afraid at all and took the initiative to attack. After his revival, his physical body had become extremely powerful. Although he was still in the middle realm of the trial, his combat strength was already incomparable to before. The two of them exchanged attacks in the void. Thunderous vibrations reverberated in the void. At the same time, the Tao sword and the slaughter spirit were also waiting for an opportunity. Once there was a chance, they would decisively take the other party's life. In everyone's imagination, the scene of a superior realm did not appear. The two sides were evenly matched. This battle attracted the attention of many people. Almost all the experts who came here sensed it and came. At the same time, the guardians who had entered this place also gathered together. They looked at Zi-chen's revival with shock on their faces. I already said that the immortal spell world cannot be destroyed, Balak said. It's not too late to return everything to the right track. Everyone, don't make a mistake. Humph, you make it sound so nice. Then tell me, since the immortal spell world exists, why hasn't the entrance opened yet? Why has our authority all lost its effect? Why hasn't it attracted us? Sue snorted. Perhaps something has happened to the immortal spell world. As long as we wait patiently, Seuss interrupted Balak. Wait patiently? We've waited for too long. We don't have that patience. Since the immortal spell world won't attract us, then we'll create our own immortal spell world and be the masters of this world. Zi-chen's situation has already explained everything. Seuss, why are you still so stubborn? Balak's face had a hint of anger. That can only mean that he's lucky. But a person's luck won't always be good. Sousa's eyes turned cold. You want to break the rules? Balak guessed the other party's intention, and his expression changed. He's the one who broke the rules first, so you can't blame us. Balak smiled coldly. Clang! At this moment, the sound of a bell came from below. The Middle Realm Heaven's chosen who was fighting Zi-Chin actually took out a golden bell. It was one of the 5 great golden bells, which formed waves of vibrating power. Zi-Chin quickly retreated and stood in the void, looking coldly ahead. Very familiar, isn't it? The Heaven's chosen smiled. But now it's my treasure. Whoosh! The path sword moved forward and collided with the golden bell. The bell rang and layers of ripples spread out. The sword was blocked by the golden bell, and the path sword flew back to Zi-Chen's side. Zi-Chen said, "If it was just a golden bell, you wouldn't have the guts to stand in front of me, right?" "You're smart." The other party sneered. The light in front of him flashed again, and the 5 great golden bells all appeared. Cheers came from behind. They knew very well how powerful the 5 great golden bells were. Now that they had become the Heaven's chosen's helpers, they could completely destroy Zi-Chin. "My lord, kill him! He killed the innocent. He's too arrogant. Cut off his head too, and let the people of this world see." Many people were shouting loudly. With the 5 great golden bells, they had full confidence in the Heaven's chosen. Back then, when Zi-Chin went on a killing spree, the 5 great golden bells played an important role in suppressing him. Zi-Chen's eyes glanced at a certain spot. There was nothing there, as if there was nothing there. "So this was your plan?" Zi-Chen smiled again. "Very good. The more you can scheme against me, the less mental burden I have when I kill you. Where's the bone staff? Take it out too." Back then, the bone staff was a great help to Zi-Chen's killing spree. "I don't need to use the bone staff to kill you," the Heaven's chosen said indifferently. "Very good. I hope you'll still be so confident later." Zi-Chen looked into the distance. "Now I'll say the same thing. As long as I, Zi-Chen, am alive, I will kill you all." Shameless boasting. Come if you have the ability. Who doesn't know how to boast? But before that, let's see how you're going to live. The 5 great golden bells will suppress you. As soon as Zi-Chin finished speaking, a string of curses immediately rang out from behind. Right now, they were no longer afraid of Zi-Chin. Zi-Chen smiled coldly and took a step forward. The heaven and earth energy in the void madly gathered towards him. With one step, he broke through. Chapter 4954. The energy in the air converged toward Zi-Chin. Entering his body like true dragons, Zi-Chin had broken through. From the middle stage of the trial to the high stage, the Heaven's chosen cultivator sensed the change in Zi-Chen's aura, and his expression changed. Zi-Chen was already extremely difficult to deal with at the middle stage. Now that he had broken through to the next stage, his battle prowess had obviously increased. Those who had been clamoring earlier all shut their mouths. Zi-Chen was undoubtedly more terrifying after breaking through to the next stage. It was best not to provoke him. The 5 golden bells floated above his head, casting down rays of golden light. This gave the Heaven's chosen cultivator some confidence in fighting against Zi-Chin. His opponent had only broken through to the next stage, but his killing treasures had not increased. He told himself not to be afraid. It was just a mere high-stage cultivator. He stepped forward and snorted. "So what if you've broken through to the next stage? You're still going to die today." The 5 golden bells suddenly enlarged in the sky, and the melodious sound of the bells rang out. Layers of waves rushed toward Zi-Chin. He wanted to use the power of the treasures to suppress Zi-Chin. The Dao sword flew into Zi-Chen's hand. He gripped the Dao sword tightly and slashed forward. Whoosh! The sharp sword light split the ripples of the golden bells in half. Humph! The heaven's chosen cultivator snorted again and controlled the 5 golden bells to move forward. The bells continued to ring, forming a sound wave attack. Possessing the golden bells did not mean that one could control them. The 5 golden bells seemed powerful, but they were much weaker in Zi-Chen's hands. Zi-Chen clenched his fist and punched upward. Wherever the fist passed, the void trembled, as if this space was about to be shattered by Zi-Chen. The ripples around the 5 golden bells disappeared, and the bells were no longer stable. Whoosh! Zi-Chen flew into the air, approached the golden bells, and smashed his fist down again. Boom! It was as if a golden sun had exploded, and the roar was deafening. Seeing this scene in the distance, everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Without the golden bells and bone staff, Zi-Chen was still powerful. Once he obtained those 2 items, wouldn't he be invincible? Die! The heaven's chosen cultivator took the opportunity to charge at Zi-Chen. He gripped a long sword in his hand, and in an instant, a bright sword arc appeared in the air. Zi-Chen turned around, clenched his fist, and punched out. Boom! The sword light shattered, and the heaven's chosen cultivator flew backward. The heaven's chosen cultivator was unable to suppress Zi-Chen. Seeing this scene, many people's faces were filled with worry. In the empty space that Zi-Chen had been looking at, there were actually many guardians watching the battle. This world was inextricably linked to Zi-Chen, so he could sense many things here that he could not sense in the trial realm. There was a hint of surprise in Seuss's eyes, but that was all. You think you can live just by breaking through? How naive! Just as Seuss finished speaking, a dozen people flew over from afar. They were all heaven's chosen cultivators, and they came with killing intent. Seeing these people, the crowd was not excited. Instead, they were worried. Last time, Zi-Chen went on a killing spree and killed many heaven's chosen cultivators. Now that Zi-Chen had broken through, would these heaven's chosen cultivators be enough? Just as they were starting to worry, a black-clothed man walked out, causing the crowd to exclaim in surprise. This man was the one who gave the orders among the invaders. He was the absolute leader and an advanced heaven's chosen cultivator. His status in Immortal Slaughter City was extremely high, second only to the city lord. He was similar to Hei Long of Peace City. His appearance seemed to have reassured everyone, and for a moment cheers rang out again. Those who had previously shut their mouths became active again. Lord Luo-Xian, kill him! The people of our city died too miserably. Lord, you must not let him go. Cut off his head, but keep his consciousness. Let him see the destruction of this world with his own eyes. The people in the back were very excited. After seeing their backbone, they were not afraid at all. In the direction of the people from Peace City, Hei Long was startled when he saw Luo-Xian. He asked, "Is this against the rules?" The city lord said, "The general trend cannot be disobeyed. Right now, they have begun to act according to their own will. There are no rules. Zi-Chen, you've gone too far. That's why I'm here to kill you." Luo-Xian walked forward, his voice cold. Zi-Chen looked at the advanced heavens chosen cultivator, called Luo-Xian with a mocking smile. "Take out your bone staff, or else you won't have the guts to stand in front of me. Impudent! How dare you speak to Lord Luo-Xian like that? Such a vile attitude. Why don't you kneel and admit your mistake?" The people in the back shouted again. Zi-Chen glanced at the crowd and smiled. "Everyone, don't be in such a hurry. I'll send you on your way after I kill a few of them." Of course, the crowd was not afraid and began to curse. Zi-Chen ignored these voices. He raised his head and looked at the sky. Then he glanced around and said in a deep voice, "This is my hometown. You invaders came to my hometown and killed innocent people. You deserve to die. I said before that I won't let a single one of you go, so I'll do as I say. With just you, we'll talk about it after you survive." Someone immediately sneered. Chin stretched out his hands and closed his eyes. Boundless soul power was released. I don't know if you can hear me, but for the sake of our world, for the sake of our fallen comrades, for the sake of our survival, for the sake of protecting this place, I need power. Chen's voice formed a strange rhythm and spread out layer by layer. Everyone looked at Chin as if they were looking at a fool. You said you need power and you have it? In the next moment, all of the creatures in the Saint Spirit world heard Chen's voice. Because he had violated the rules and triggered the heavenly Tao order of the Saint Spirit world. Everyone felt a strong desire from Chen's words. This was a desire for power. At the same time, there was a responsibility to protect. They, who had been oppressed, resonated with each other. Facing these evil invaders, they needed a guardian. Almost all of the creatures subconsciously nodded in agreement, although none of them knew why they were nodding. What was the point of nodding? This was a kind of will, and it was instantly reflected in the world. Buzz! In 5 directions of the Saint Spirit world, 5 huge figures suddenly appeared. They were the guardians that had disappeared back then. There was the Spirit Suppressor, the 8 Immortals, and the Heavenly Sun. They had disappeared a long time ago, but when they heard Chen's words, they reappeared. Pure energy flew out from their bodies and gathered in Chen's direction. At the same time, power flew out from all of the creatures in the Saint Spirit world. These powers were very weak, only wisps of them, and they were very inconspicuous. However, there was a lot of them and they were innumerable. This was the power that all living beings were willing to give up. They came to the void and gathered together. Like a long dragon, they flew in the direction of Chin. On this day, all of the creatures in the Saint Spirit world saw the shocking scene of the long dragon of energy entering the void. There were countless long dragons, and they were mighty. It was also on this day that all of the creatures felt the will of this world. The long dragon of energy came from all directions, arrived in the void, and entered his body. This was an extremely shocking scene. Everyone looked at the scene in shock. Chin had only said that he wanted power, but in the eyes of the crowd, it was completely wishful thinking, and he had lost his mind. However, as soon as he said that all of the creatures in this world gave him a trace of power, these powers gathered together and turned into a terrifying energy. It made everyone's heart palpitate. Break it! Don't let Chin absorb it. Someone cried out in alarm and attacked the long dragon of energy, but it was useless. Each power contained a will. These powers were not strong, but their will could not be disobeyed. This was the will of the heavenly Tao, and at the same time it was the will of everyone. At this moment, the will of heaven, earth, and man returned together. Buzz! Chin alone carried all of the will, as if he carried all of the responsibilities and missions of this world. Countless energy dragons entered his body, and infinite light erupted. He carried the will of all creatures and advanced to the heavens' chosen realm. Chapter 4955. Countless long dragons carried the wills of all living beings in this world and arrived in this void. Chin said he needed power, so they delivered it. Chin advanced. Heaven's chosen state. Everyone witnessed this miracle and found it unbelievable. Almost every one of them was the ruler of their own world. Even if they weren't rulers, they were the best of the best. However, they had never resonated with the world and connected with the wills of all living beings. Even the watchers were dumbfounded. This scene was beyond their common sense. This is a miracle. Bai Lake said, "As long as you believe, miracles are everywhere." Sue snorted. "So what if it's a miracle? He still has to die. We can't go against the trend. It's almost impossible for you to kill Chin after communicating with the wills of the worlds," Bai Lake said. "The reason why the immortal spell world values these worlds so much is because these worlds created the immortal spell world. These worlds of all living beings are the birthplaces of miracles. Our responsibility as monitors is to watch the worlds of all living beings develop. Zeus was furious. In the face of absolute power, miracles are nothing. He still has to die. Luo Xian looked at Zichen and said, "Even if you broke through, so what? You're only at the initial stage of heaven's chosen state." He held the bone staff tightly in his hand. "Now I have this. Killing you should be easy, right?" Luo Xian pointed at the 5 golden bells in the sky. "If that's not enough, how about adding them?" "Of course, the most important thing is that we have more people." Luo Xian walked forward. "You have the will of the world, and we have countless experts. Who do you think will live and die?" As soon as Luo Xian moved, the others moved as well, moving forward. In the sky, the 5 golden bells were also moving. Zichen looked at them with a calm expression. "Since they believe in me, I naturally have to fulfill my promise and kill all of you. Just you." Luo Xian said sarcastically, "Look what you have. There's no one behind you, but we have countless experts. We can exhaust you to death." As Luo Xian spoke, the others moved forward and surrounded Zichen. Zichen ignored these people. He raised his head and looked at the 5 golden bells. "Do you know where they came from? We are not interested in their origins at all, as long as we can kill you." Luo Xian said coldly, "These 5 golden bells are the most precious treasures of the Tao of Divine Inscriptions. They have protected the Tao of Divine Inscriptions for countless years." Luo Xian interrupted Zichen. "What's the point of saying this when you're about to die?" Zichen said, "What I really want to tell you is that if you can control the divine glyphs as soon as you take away the golden bell, then the divine glyphs of the past will be targeted by thieves every day. I'm afraid that we won't be able to keep them." Luo Xian suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. At this moment, Zichen's hands formed a seal, and a complicated seal fell down. At the same time, his eyes flickered. It was the celestial spiritual eyes. He looked at the 5 golden bells and shouted, "Return to your positions." Whoa! In the sky, the 5 great golden bells vibrated together and ripples spread out. When everyone saw this, their expressions immediately changed. The heaven's chosen one exclaimed, "Oh no, they're not under my control." Dang! The 5 great golden bells vibrated together, and a divine glyph diagram appeared in the sky, as if a huge divine grindstone had appeared in the sky. Seeing this scene, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. When Zichen used this move that day, it was almost a massacre. Now, seeing Zichen forcefully take the golden bells to recognize him as their master, those who surrounded Zichen all retreated in fear. Dang! The melodious bell rang, and the divine glyph diagram expanded again. During this time, rays of light fell down and froze everyone. In the next moment, the ripples of the divine bell surged past, and the bodies of those who approached immediately disintegrated. Flesh and bones were separated, bones scattered. As for souls, they were destroyed in an instant. In an instant, more than 10 heavens, chosen ones died. As if the memories of death had been opened, the others were scared out of their wits and retreated in fear. "It's too late." Zichen looked at everyone with a cold expression. Whoa! The divine glyph diagram expanded again, enveloping everyone nearby. The light of pressure fell down, and at the same time the bell rang, destroying souls. The current Zichen was already a heaven's chosen one, and his combat strength was much stronger than before. He could control the 5 great golden bells with ease. The reason why he wanted to advance to the heaven's chosen one was that when he was in the trial realm, even if he had the strength, he didn't have enough energy to forcibly control the 5 great golden bells. But now he had enough strength. Wherever the ripples of the golden bells passed, another middle realm cultivator died. The situation in the distance changed, and those who were still clamoring before retreated in fear. Looking at Chen standing under the divine glyph diagram, they couldn't help but think of the massacre that day. At that time, Chen almost killed all the initial heaven's chosen ones in the immortal slaughter city by himself. But now, Chen had broken through 2 realms in a row. Who could be his opponent? The killing continued and no one could escape. As for resisting the power of the golden bells, that was even more impossible. Die. Luo moved. Now that he had the bone staff, he was everyone's hope. He waved the bone staff, and all the ripples disappeared. He forcibly opened up a path. He approached Chen in a straight line. As long as he smashed Chen's head with the bone staff, he was confident that he could kill Chen. Chen glanced at the 5 great golden bells, and then looked at Luo. A trace of ridicule flashed in his eyes. I am indeed alone, but I have the supreme treasure of the divine glyph world. This was condensed by countless predecessors. Whong! The golden bells shook again, and a terrifying pressure descended. The divine glyph diagram in the sky fell down. This time, even with the bone staff, Luo also felt the pressure. Boom! The aura around him erupted, and a powerful force constantly poured into the bone staff. The space around him was distorted, and the power of a high heaven's chosen one was displayed to the extreme. With a wave of the bone staff, the pressure around him was once again broken. The nervous crowd behind him stared at the front. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. They were looking forward to killing Chen. Chen's expression was still calm, and the 5 great golden bells were still pressuring his opponent. He stood under the golden bells, motionless. As for the others around him, they had all turned into corpses. Other than Luo, everyone else was dead. This made the pressure on everyone even greater. Therefore, they placed all their hopes on Luo. As long as they killed Chen, the light would be in front of them. Luo was getting closer and closer to Chen, but Chen was still standing in the same place. Arrogant, Luo roared, his eyes full of killing intent. He was about to reach Chen, and his staff was about to kill Chen. Chen said, "Go! Let the world know that the divine glyph Tao has not disappeared." As his voice fell, the Tao sword appeared. It erupted with a brilliant light and flew towards Luo. In Chen's memory, there was a scene like this. The divine glyph Tao was shattered, and a sword light left the world, protecting the divine glyph Tao world that Chen saw. To be honest, the Tao sword was the supreme treasure of the divine glyph Tao. The light flashed and disappeared. The Tao sword flew back. Luo stood in front of Chen, holding the bone staff high, but he could no longer bring it down. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.